Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Smash or Pass podcast with JayBee,
Hey,
me Milly, and of course Smash.
Hello!
Now we also have a special guest joining us today, and I think it's only right that we ask Smash to introduce them, so...
Yeah, we have my beautiful girlfriend with us today.
Hi, I'm Mariah.
Hi Mariah. So for those of you that have been listening to what we're saying and actually went to check out Smash's channel, you're probably aware of Mariah right now, but if not, they're here today to comment on this movie, give their opinions too, because I don't know, I think we got to a stage where we were all nearly agreeing, so I think we needed someone new to freshen it up just a little bit maybe.
yeah, and let's not forget, this could actually be one of the most divisive ones, right? Because
yeah,
if
this
two
is
of
the
us
first
smash,
time we can actually be fully
it could
split.
be a draw.
True.
Which is
Oh.
kind of mad. I don't know how I feel about that, but it's gonna be fun.
And of course, as we said, this week's movie is going to be Scooby Doo Pirates Ahoy, so...
Oh, I should have said ahoy for my greeting.
Just weren't thinking,
Darn it.
JayBee.
Oh, I hate myself.
We all want to
Hard.
re-record the intro now.
Right, let's just pretend I said ahoy and we can be happy. We can move on.
You did such a great intro. Good job.
Hey.
Thank you. So, for those of you that haven't seen Pirates Ahoy for a little while, and I know I was one of them, just a quick recap on the plot here. So, Mystery Inc. are going on a cruise with Fred's parents, who we're getting to meet, which is really quite exciting. And I guess they don't know what to expect. They're just expecting this simple cruise. But as with a lot of Scooby-Doo movies, there is more to it. Fred's parents have arranged for this to be a mystery cruise, so the crew on the boat are setting up different mysteries for everyone to try and solve. But then things develop, and suddenly some of these mysteries the crew might not actually know about, and Mystery Inc. have to kind of solve things again, work out who is the monster, who's hiding under the masks. So... starting right at the beginning, as always, with the titles, literally the first word I've written here is perfect. Like, I love the pirate music.
You know what?
I love the images with the Bermuda Triangle. Admittedly, found the spaceship appearing a little bit random. Other than that, like I said, the first word I've got is perfect. So, JayBee, the titles.
Oh, this to me was just amazing. It almost reminds me of, I don't know if you've seen, which movie was it? It was either X-Men First Class or X-Men Days of Future Past, and the intro is like them going through time, and it's like with this, I feel that we're taken through the history of the Bermuda Triangle from, you know, disappearing pirate ships to, I guess, more, you know, military air forces. And yeah, I think the aliens is a type of thing, like, that isn't really something that's necessarily, you'd instantly go, okay, this is something that's rumoured. When you think of Bermuda Triangle, it's more like the disappearances. But I do like how it pretty much gave us the sea monsters and the UFOs at the end as, like, you know, some of the far-fetched myths. So
Who knows, maybe the return of Lester with the spaceships.
you know what, Lester would be all over this. Like, oh, Lester with the Bermuda Triangle.
Dang,
It
you should have
funny
come
could have been
back.
abducted.
Yeah.
So, Smash, what did you think to the titles?
I absolutely love this intro. I love the music for this one. I have a lot of Scooby-Doo music added to my music library, and like, even though this doesn't really have words, I feel like this intro music I could just jam to all the time. But I love the fact that we're seeing the map of the Bermuda Triangle evolve through time, and with it, all the different theories and myths around it. And that's why there's a UFO that pops up and sea monsters, because, you know, as the myths have evolved, it's turned into aliens and this and that. And so it really kind of gives you a sense of, like, okay, we're dealing with the Bermuda Triangle. Like, you look at the DVD cover, and I mean, it says on the back the Bermuda Triangle, but just looking at the cover itself, there's no real sort of indication that we're dealing with the Bermuda Triangle, just pirates in the sea. But this intro really, like, tells you, okay, we're going into this, like, mysterious realm of the world that, you know, so many of stories have kind of started from. So I love it. Love this intro so much.
Yeah, the music is just so amazing. Like, I know over at your podcast, Legend of the Podcast, you use the intro song for Return to Zombie Island. But if I was doing something more like that, I think I would use the intro song for this. Like, I don't know, it just gets me hyped, and I guess it is very for the purpose. Like, it's one that you could close your eyes, listen to it, and you know kind of what film it's coming from. But I just love it.
I mean, what do you think, Mariah? Do you think it sets it up for the movie quite well?
Do you have thoughts?
Do I have thoughts? I hope I have thoughts. Yeah, I thought the intro was pretty fun. It was like, I did get a little confused, I guess, with the spaceship at first, because I thought it would come into play, which I guess it kind of does. But I thought it was fun overall to watch.
Yeah, I agree with the spaceship thing. Like I said, I found that a bit confusing too, because I guess just looking at the front cover, like smASH said, you don't see the kind of Bermuda Triangle thing from that. You just very much expect it to be like a few pirate ships, like kind of thing.
Yeah.
So to see the spaceship when you've just seen the cover, it's a bit like, I don't know what this is.
And
it's like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah, and it's a very generic spaceship, right? Like one that you'd always associate just like a saucer. It's not like it was necessarily a Crystal and Amber reference. It was just...
I was about to mention Crystal and Amber, because I feel like a lot of people who followed the Scooby movies really closely would have been a bit like, okay, we've not really seen a spaceship too much since Crystal and Amber. Probably a return that most people wanted. So I guess the first time they saw a spaceship, a few people would have been quite excited.
Yeah, last time there was anything space related, unless I'm mistaken, it was the moon level in Cyberchase.
Yeah.
Maybe there was another one, but I don't know.
Okay, so I feel like this movie then goes into that formula, which I think we've kind of agreed that we all quite like, and that is the cold opening followed by a really kind of relaxing Mystery Machine contrast. So in terms of the cold opening, this I think is one of the more terrifying villains. I do quite find them quite intimidating, I will admit. Because there's certainly been ones in the cold openings where I've been a bit like, okay, this one's not too scary. Whereas, I don't know, I'm kind of getting vibes from like almost Zombie Island with some of the pirate zombie kind of things.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I kind of linked it to that when I first saw it.
I mean, I forgot the pirate's name. It isn't Redbeard. It's like Skunkbeard. They definitely look like Morgan Moonscar.
Yeah, that's the vibes that I was getting to.
But this intro, the cold open, it actually is radically different. Like I was talking on the last episode about how different the intro to Where's My Mummy is, because it's like a full-blown historic battle. But this to me has the same vibes. Well, so it's not on the same scale. Like, this is the first time that the enemy or the monster has done real tangible damage to not a person in this case, but an object. Like, what happens in this? They blast a few holes. In a
boat, don't they? The boat
go down?
Yeah, the boat fully sinks.
Which obviously factors later on, but like...
It's done so strategically that they manage to get the boat down a certain amount, then they access it to get what they want, and then it goes the rest of the way. Almost like the cannonballs that they were firing or whatever it was done really strategically. Like, it's kind of like... Okay, because I don't know, sometimes you can dissociate a little bit, but this is like, there's a functioning brain under this and they've got some bad intent.
Yeah, it's like an assassination of that boat.
Do you know what I mean? Like, some of them, like El Chupacabra, when you see it, you almost don't think about the kind of brain functions as much, but I think this one commands some respect in that it's like, okay, this was planned to perfection, like the rate at which the boat was sinking and everything.
Yeah, and Mr. Smiley is no genius, that's for sure. So I guess smASH and Mariah, what did you think about this cold open? Because I think it's one that we've never really seen up until this point.
So yeah, I mean, as I probably said before, I am a sucker for cold opens. I love it when they do that, because I don't like when they're jumping into like the end of a mystery that they're solving, because then I'm like, I want to know that story. So I love this intro. My thing with it is this intro, this cold open definitely has more of a creepy vibe than we've gotten in the last little while. And so it makes me kind of wish that this movie either came out like during the Zombie Island era or the like post Abracadabra Do era, just not in the What's New era, because you know right now these movies are very bright and very animated, and I just feel like this cold open and parts of the movie's vibe would have really worked if they could have gone a little darker with it. You know, again, akin to like Zombie Island, and yes, the pirates do look very similar to the zombies in Zombie Island. They are very much compared to those zombies a lot of the time. But overall, I really, really like this intro. My only critique is I just wish this hadn't happened in the What's New era, because I feel like they could have done just a little more to add to the vibe, and honestly, it's really more so the animation style. I mean, the animation is pretty, but I just wish, again, they could have gone a little darker toned with it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you completely in that this could have been seen as a little bit darker. It certainly, to me, has like a higher level threat. As we said, kind of, you just see the brain functions and just how calculated everything is right from the start, and that almost makes it seem like a real fear, which of course is kind of the real things, was what we were seeing more with Zombie Island and that kind of thing right at the start. So it would have fit in really well, just theme-wise with that as well. I do think they still managed to get a nice contrast, you know, kind of when we go from this dark, cold opening. Despite it being a bit brighter, they still managed to get that contrast, like we saw in the cyber chase, where it goes from dark, cold opening to the mystery machine just kind of sauntering down the road really calmly, like there's nothing wrong in the world, and you just know that there is a whole world of pain coming for these people, and they are just there, like Daphne painting her nails, like it's fine, it's really not going to be fine.
What did you think of this?
Of the opening, the cold opening?
Yeah,
I thought it was a really fun way to set up the story. Like, I enjoyed, because you kind of are like, oh, what's gonna happen? And the guy that's like charting the stars or whatever, and then of course they're in the Bermuda Triangle, so you're like, oh, this can't end well. And then we see the ghost pirates, and of course his crew gets caught, but he somehow gets away. And then it kind of cuts off, and you're like, wait, what happened to him? Did he survive?
Yeah, we were watching it, and you're like, he's dead, isn't he?
Yeah, I was like, did he make it? So it's kind of fun to see when he pops up later on. You're like, oh, okay, he's still good.
Yeah, see, that's something important to note as well, because for all it's, you know, it's obviously meant to be a really fun Scooby Doo movie, a cartoon, and, you know, death you wouldn't associate it being a main factor, but I think in a show like this, you could almost believe that it's going to be a death that's just going to be off-screen and then never spoken about again. And until the confirmation that this, like, castaway is still alive, that's very much what this seems like. And I'm just thinking back to when was the last time we had a cold open with anything so darkly implied, and I don't think we ever have had one like this before.
Not really.
Like, not
I
even
can't
with the
think of
Mook animation ones.
Like,
not, at least not with the movies. I know we haven't talked about episodes much, but I will just say there are some episodes that are kind of like this, where people just disappear, and you're like, okay, do we assume dead? Or, but yeah, as far as the movies go, I think you guys are right. We haven't really had a sort of, do we have to assume, do we not?
Yeah, maybe with Matt Marvelous, now that I think about it. Was that the cold open?
Oh yeah, well, yeah, I guess we did kind of get an explanation at the end of the movie, but for the most part, yeah, we were like, what happened to him?
Yeah, like, and again with this, we kind of get more of a resolution, but it's like, again, saved till a bit later. So, have we said everything that we needed to have said about that cold open?
yeah, I think so.
I love the music. That's all I got.
Oh, the music in all this is just amazing. Like, I feel like
they did so good with this one.
I do too. I think I said that for the last one as well, I want to say. What's the one before this?
The one before this was Where's My Mummy, which had some really cool songs, to be fair.
I feel like I like the chase scene in that, because I remember saying, okay, I'd kind of waited a couple of movies for a good chase scene.
Yeah.
And I got one in like Where's My Mummy, but this one I feel like it's consistent all the way through.
There's a few good ones that we can bring up later, but
yeah.
Yeah, like to me, this is just for the time being anyway, this is like back to formula, back to kind of what got me into this. But I guess to that end, before we progress, this is actually a very, very strange movie for me, because like any other one, I went into this, at least, you know, for these early movies, thinking, oh my gosh, like this is going to be so much fun to watch with Millie, because I remember everything that's going to happen. So to see Millie's face during the twist is going to be amazing. But actually, I made all of my notes with the assumption that I remembered this movie, and I absolutely did not remember this movie.
I feel like I remembered this movie better than you.
Like, obviously, like I don't want to skip too far ahead, but I remember Fred's parents being unmasked as the ones behind everything. For some reason, for some way. And so I made all my notes with the assumption that I was right. And that's never happened to me before. When we got to it, even to the point when Scooby was like sailing away, I thought that it was going to be like, is this going to be like a fake credit? So the credit's going to stop and it's going to be like, oh, but wait, this doesn't make sense. And it was like, no. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've just messed up all these notes. So I just wanted to ask, is this, you know, everyone's first viewing of this movie, or how many times on, I guess, how well do you remember it? Because I've certainly had a bit of a stinky with this one.
I have watched this one many, many times, as I'll say for like every one of these that we do, but I believe this is Mariah's very first time watching this one. And so I was really excited to see. Okay, not to jump too far ahead, but I had to laugh the whole time because she's like, they're trying to make you think that Mr. Mysterio is the bad one, but he's not. We like him. And I was like, whatever you say, honey.
Yeah, it was my first time watching it, and I was like, when the wizard dude came up, at first I was like, he seems kind of suspicious, and then I was like, but that's what they want you to think.
Yeah,
they're gonna want you to suspect him. So I was like, we're gonna trust him.
I can so see why you thought that.
The Miss Sunshine, whatever her name was. No, you didn't trust the perky lady.
Yeah, she was too perky, too happy about everything.
Yeah, she was like Charlene in the museum. That was the vibe.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But beyond that, I was suspicious of Mr. Mysterio, even though I wasn't like too like I didn't remember Mr. Mysterio too much, but they did remind me of that Igor character from, I think it was Reluctant Werewolf, and that's why I was a bit like, yeah, that person's gonna be a bit sus.
Shoot, what's their names? The something bunch. It's two of them.
The Hunch Bunch, isn't it?
The Hunch Bunch.
The one that's always blowing raspberries, and then the kind of posh one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna love it when we get to those films. You know, they're actually amazing. But that's who they reminded me of. But yeah, like, I guess it's nice to know that I don't know, I'm pleasantly surprised at how I didn't remember the movie, but again, I was trying to be as like, you know, when SMASH was like, oh yeah, you know, whatever you say, whatever you think, and I was just getting it wrong.
I have a really fun, hopefully it's fun story of this movie, like my past with this movie, but I'll bring it up probably during our verdict, but yeah, so just saying, like, this movie in particular is a little more ingrained in me than some of the other ones.
And I think it's a really good one to have ingrained in, like, as well. We're going to come on to, obviously, the plot a little bit more, but I do think this one's quite unique. Like, I don't know, there's just a lot of elements where I'm like, okay, this is fresh. They've broken formula a bit here, and I enjoy it.
Yeah. So the intro, do you want to get into that now?
Like, I think I kind of started to touch on it. The Mystery Machine scene, Daphne's there painting her nails, and of course JayBee was being very keen-eyed with that scene.
Okay, no,
and managed to come up with
a secret crush on Daphne.
No,
it's far from I've never known a more obvious crush. He's got a life-size poster on the wall.
It's not life
Oh
size.
gosh, I need to show you that poster.
Little, very discreet.
Okay. Well, I wasn't like.
Can I tell them what you say about that poster? Like, in the past, he's genuinely turned around to me. Like, if he needs to leave the room, he's like, be nice to her. Don't hurt her.
Because okay, it is right next to the bin, and there have been occasions where like you've like just chucked stuff towards the bin, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't want to seem overprotective,
But moving on to what it is you did notice about Daphne in this movie.
yeah. Well, look, and here's the thing: I don't like tend to be like an animation snob or anything. In fact, quite opposite. But I don't know. There's a few inconsistencies. So for all Daphne, I guess I don't know. She's got like the stockings or the tights off when she's painting her nails, but then as they park, a split second later, they're back on. And so I was a bit like I don't want to necessarily see the process of that happening.
But it was like snap your fingers and she's got her tights and shoes on.
A very quick transition, and it's like, okay, I guess she's just been moving mad. I don't know what's been going on, but that has. But another thing I noticed as well was, I don't know if it was Shaggy or someone else that said it, but they make reference to like ancient mummies and haunted tikis, which definitely does place this in, well, afterwards in the timeline. So I guess for the purposes of the What's New movies, maybe it's fair to say that they all happen in release order.
Yeah, it's quite refreshing sometimes just to see the kind of signposting as to this is when this happened. Because obviously with the movies we started with in Zombie Island and things, they are quite distinctively later movies. So just to see some confirmation's good.
Yeah.
Like I want to say, I can't think what movie it is. The one after Cyber Chase where they're playing the game in the Mystery Machine afterwards.
Oh, or is that...
Yeah, Legend of the Vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, okay, good. Like I know the kind of ages and things are different, but it's kind of like, okay, well, we can kind of start to work this out a little bit here.
But you think that that's far future, right? The transition? No, it doesn't need to be, because there were Game Boys knocking around at the same time as GameCubes. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not good with technology. So what else? Keeping Fred's age ambiguous was really funny, because...
Yeah, did you guys get that?
Did they make him, because like they did a little fake out where Daphne was like, oh, you know, how old are you going to be? And he's like, oh, 46. But obviously he's just reading from signs. But I was almost if that was how long it had been from 1969 to that. I was
going to ask if that was like the age of like Frank Welker or something at the time.
Interesting.
No,
theories.
so what it is, so I believe he says 43, and then, you know, obviously he starts counting, and we're like, oh, he's talking about the paper. But what it is since the original Scooby Doo Where Are You started in 1969, and in that time frame, they were roughly 15 in that original series. And so from when this movie came out, their actual ages should have been 43 at that time of this movie's release.
Oh.
That's legit, you know. Look, this is fantastic. I love doing this because I feel like I could literally ask the weirdest thing about any movie and Smash is just there, like, and I'm like, wow.
I got him, don't worry.
You know, and in fact, I actually tried to come up with this thing, and I'm not going to implement it, but it's just something to stroke my own ego. I've been determined, without any prep time, at some point, to try and think about a question at, like, the end of, like, after the verdict that you don't know the answer to, and I'm determined to find one. But I'm
sure there's going to be one. But I try to do my homework every night.
Yeah, I definitely didn't with this movie, that's fair to say, which is weird, because I do have fond memories with it. I just maybe I've got the wrong memories, or it's like the Mandela effect.
So I guess one thing that I like is we meet Fred's parents. Now, are you about up to that, JayBee, or am I skipping ahead?
Well, I'm definitely around. Yeah, I'm up to that point now.
Because I don't know, I kind of feel like so far with the movies that we've watched, you've not seen much interaction with any family or anything. So it's like, okay, we're starting to see the broader picture a little bit here. And I do think they're quite well matched for Fred's parents.
I think they're sweet, you know. They're just, I think it's just such a wholesome type of dynamic that they've got going on with like where Fred's mum very much being like the typical, let's take a load of photos and let's like kind of get a bit imposing on people, and Fred's dad just being a bit friendly, although
he almost does the friendship thing more than the dad thing, which I don't know, like that handshake thing. I watched that and I was like, okay, I can see why they did that, but like, have you ever met anyone that does that?
It reminds me of that scene in like Meet the Parents, like the first one, when like the woman goes back and he's like, hey, let's do our secret handshake, and then they're just doing this weird stuff with their hands. It's really cute, but again, it puts this timeline in a completely different section than like Mystery Incorporated, when both parents that Fred has are just mean, and it's like, no. I think he deserves these parents. These are kind of nice.
So what did you both think to the translation of Fred's parents in this, like, this is his background kind of thing?
Yeah, this is the first... I mean, really, this is the first indication of their parents that we've ever had if you were watching Scooby Doo, in order, because this came out before Mystery Incorporated. So I always thought of them as his parents, and then once we had Mystery Incorporated, it was like, whoa! But I think it's really interesting because there's some Scooby-ception going on here, because Fred's dad is voiced by Tim Conway, who Tim Conway himself guest starred in an episode back in the 70s, so it's kind of interesting.
That is interesting.
That is cool. And there's other instances of that at some point as well. I think it may be a bit later on. Like, actually, I think some people do return, because I think there's certain voice actors that can just do like these cool, like, Frank Welker type dog barks and growls. So they're often used for a lot of things. So...
See, I think...
Sorry.
No, I want to hear what Mariah thinks.
Yeah,
your first instance was Mystery Incorporated.
Yeah, I saw that before I saw this, so it was definitely a change to see the first scene. They're all like buddy, secret handshake, hugs and pictures and all that. But it was kind of fun. They were very perky and maybe, dare I say, overbearing at times. But they were fun, and I thought it was really cool how they surprised him with like the mystery cruise, because that's very on brand for Fred and the whole gang. So they seemed fun in this movie.
Yeah, see, I really like something that you just said, that like on brand and things, because I don't know, I feel, and I was listening to the Scooby podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I think they mentioned something like this. Like in Mystery Incorporated, Fred's very like branded as the the trap man, like anything about traps and he's there, whereas with this it almost seems like they've got a normal kind of life, but they just get thrown into situations, not that they go looking for them per se.
Yeah,
like even with this one where they're like, oh, we're just gonna finally get a holiday kind of thing, whereas by the time it comes to Mystery Incorporated, the characters have been like, okay, it needs to be all about the mysteries, it needs to be that you like the traps and all that kind of thing. So I guess it's interesting to, I don't know, I just feel like this is more realistic as well. Like, I just feel like for Mystery Incorporated, for how bad his parents were in that, like, both sets of them that he had, like, but anything that he has parental-wise in Mystery just makes it like, oh no, he wouldn't have turned out to be this amazing, surely. Whereas with the kind of nicer parents, it's a bit like, this makes a bit more sense, but also at the same time, I don't feel like they come across as the type of people that had been like, yeah, it's fine, you go away to Australia, you know what, that's fine, you go on holiday to Mexico, we don't mind, like, all the way across the world, think nothing of it, it's fine. They seem, like you said, very overbearing. I don't get that they're the type of people that'd be like, oh, I'll pay for your plane ticket, it's fine.
Yeah, you think Fred's mom would just be running over with like sun cream and stuff.
Yeah.
I also love that, I mean, because this is really the only instance we ever see this version of his parents, but I love that at least somewhere in some universe, Fred has nice parents, because every other time, I won't spoil anything else, because I know you guys are watching some Scoobies right now, so I won't say in what, but there's another instance where his parents are purely jerks, and I'm just like, Fred cannot get a break with his parents except this one movie.
Yeah, it's and to have somebody who's such a strong leader within the group, you'd think he had to have some good role models, right?
I mean,
Like, you don't just
true.
naturally adapt to be a good leader without somebody showing you how to take direction and things.
Thing is with Mystery Incorporated though, it's like you watch season 1 and I think a lot of people, especially me, was just like absolutely hating the living daylights out of, you know, Mayor Dad going, just, you know, he's such a sweet guy, he just wants your approval, he's literally bending over backwards to try and get like some love and like just some validation from you, and then he goes and then his like biological parents come back and it's like, oh, can we please get the mayor back? Like,
yeah.
Like, what is this?
Like, we thought it was bad, but you can make this work.
But it's like, with this, it is just so nice to see. Even like the aspect of them treating him to a mystery cruise, it's like they're doing the opposite of what the other parents did. And they're like embracing what he's like interested in and what his hobbies are.
Like, again, going back to the Scooby podcast, but they were talking about life lessons last week, I think. And something that I think is an interesting contrast here is like, everybody, well, most people with parents, like Fred's parents in Pirates Ahoy, are like, oh, they're so embarrassing, they're so like, they just won't let me grow up, they won't leave me alone. And then, you know, they're like, oh, you know, I'd rather have parents who just kind of weren't so involved like we see in Mystery Incorporated. And I just feel like there's a life lesson there in that it's kind of like, okay, you complain about having parents like this, but here's the alternative. And by the end of Mystery Incorporated, we were all just wanting him to have somebody like he has in this movie.
That would have been nice.
It was just good. So at that point, they board the boat. Now, I honestly think that boat looks amazing. It makes me want to go on holiday. It makes me want to go on a cruise. Like, I've never been on one, but I want to go on one.
See, I've been on like a 2 or 3, and they're actually really, really cool. I think I'd be a bit scared to now after like a few like news stories about just how quickly things can like spread on them, but oh, they're amazing. Like, and this is quite a good representation of it, and I feel like they utilize the setting quite well. Again, the kind of main host reminds me too much of like Charlene. So I'm a bit like, yeah, I don't like you.
And also the person in, is it Aloha Scooby Doo?
Oh yeah.
The person in that's kind of like the main holiday rep kind of person.
Yeah, I don't know what
kind of reminds me of them too.
They were like a mayor as well, weren't they? They were like looking to get elected.
Yeah.
Huh. See, that's interesting for sure.
And then kind of while we're on the like montage of what the boat's like and all this kind of thing, they come across that footprint. And for me, it's like, okay, this is where this movie starts to get a bit more interesting, because we know that the mystery they're about to start doesn't seem to add up to the one that we know exists. So it's like, we've seen the cold opening thing before, but it has never been so relevant. It's never been so important. Because normally it's like cold opening, we see the villain, they catch up pretty quick. Whereas here it's like they're on an entirely different path. Yeah,
that's true. And the first thing I thought of when I saw that footprint was like randomonium.
Yeah.
Like, huh, okay, that's kind of interesting. I like how they definitely got some, like, for all they don't reuse mysteries too much, they've got things that are like visually similar to the point where it's always something new to go, oh, that reminds me of this, or that reminds me of that. But for all it's a cruise, that's like a mystery thing, I don't get the sense at first that they're trying to push that on too heavily, which is nice.
I kind of wonder, though, if the little green ooze that they find does actually pertain to the pirates mystery, because later the pirate ship, they leave a trail in the ocean, and that's how they follow him. And I'm wondering if that was like Mr. Mysterio accidentally like dropped a little bit of that on the ship, and the lady who's like doing the cruise is just like, oh, I guess we're adding this. Yeah, it's totally part of our mystery. Haha.
See, that does make quite a bit of sense, because when she did see it, it's like, oh, you know, even if it does seem like a mystery, we've got no time for that now.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. Again, the whole reveal, like, you know, knowing, I guess, what I know now going forward, this isn't bad. It seems a bit fillery though, but to me, this is just nothing but fun at this point. Like, for all it's not really progressing the story too much, we're more kind of doing some groundwork, making Fred's parents characters. This is just a lot of fun. I don't think any part of this is getting boring.
Yeah, no.
I'd agree with that. And then, like we said, I feel like at this point I was a bit like, okay, to me this doesn't add up. And then the story starts to unfold a little bit. So the Bermuda Triangle reveal gets announced. So they start to know that this isn't just going to be like the standard relaxing holiday. Then the captain disappears and it's all like, okay, you know, we're starting to understand where they're coming from. But in the back of our minds, I feel like at this stage we're starting to know that there's more to it than normal. Like, normally it's just, okay, they're gonna just reveal the villain that we saw in the cold opening. Whereas this one, I just feel like it builds some suspense. You want to know what's going on because you know that there's a different villain, so why isn't it the one you're seeing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And even cheesy aspects. So I wrote down that, like, the way the captain disappeared is so dramatic, but in context, that's all it can be, that's all it should be. So I even like how even the parts that you'd initially look, you know, in an out of context clip and go, oh, that's really, like, dated, it actually makes a lot of sense. So I do appreciate that.
It's good.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, yeah. Is it the alien?
Yeah, so then, like we said, the captain disappears and then we kind of see the alien. And to me, this is, I don't know why, but the aliens is the only thing that even slightly downgrades it for me a little bit. And I just kind of feel like it's not necessary.
Do you mean visually? Like, the alien looks poor, bad, or...?
No, like, I don't know why... I know it's a Bermuda Triangle thing, but I just wasn't expecting it to be necessary or needed that there was aliens there.
You know what? For all I don't particularly agree, I do understand that it would have maybe been better if, like, you know, for everything that we saw at the start of the intro, the one thing that all of us kind of picked up on was, yeah, the aliens were kind of a bit, like, out of nowhere. Because that's, like, the most extreme theory of the Bermuda Triangle. Whereas if they were just a few, maybe, disappearances in, like, maybe the ship's cabin, like, members or the passengers, for all it would have been a bit darker and a bit less visually like, okay, like, stuff is happening. It maybe would have been a bit more believable that it was the Bermuda Triangle versus we've had so many movies now where the villain, like, hasn't been a real supernatural threat that... to have a full-blown alien now just walking about, it's obviously going to be more to it than that. So I get that, I
also think it's interesting because that kind of, like, that almost shows the difference between these people because, like, I mean, spoiler alert, the alien was the cruise people, you know, for the mystery cruise, but, you know, like, these people who are putting on this cruise and stuff automatically assumed Bermuda Triangle aliens, whereas everyone doing the pirates thing is like Bermuda Triangle pirates, you know. So it's interesting to see that difference.
Yeah, and again, the disbelief at the alien pretty much places this before Alien Invaders as well.
Yeah.
So we're starting to piece together a bit of a timeline at this point, because, like, with the Mook animation ones, that, like, besides, like, the first one being clearly after, the rest could just be anywhere, I feel. The only indication is maybe the clothing change, but that's about it. Now, does anyone else have anything to say up until the alien segment?
No.
Nope.
So from there, what I've got is that they, you know, it gets kind of revealed that this is a mystery cruise. Am I jumping ahead of you, JayBee, or are you good?
Well, I guess there's like an alien chase scene, right? Like, also another song.
Milly's like, I don't want to talk about it.
I don't know. I guess I guess, I don't know, just kind of in my mind things progress really quickly with this movie, and that there's a lot that I like. So I guess I'm just trying to rush to the bits that I'm actually quite hyped for.
I mean, what was the song for this alien chase scene? Because I think it's the only one that I don't actually remember, but I remember like thinking that it was great because it gave us everything that we needed. I feel like, from like the hallway scene to just general shenanigans and hijinks. But I don't know. I think they pretty much try and box everything off like at the start. That is, you know, typical what you'd expect, so that then they can expand and add something a bit more different. I don't know. So were you not a fan of the chase scene, Milly?
No, I like all the chase scenes in this. I like all the music in this. I do think they're amazing. But like I said, I think the reason that I wasn't like zoning in on the chase scene too much, because I do have it written down here, but to me we're just coming up to some things that make this movie so unique. I mean, I think I'm already showing quite positive vibes towards this. I don't want to like, people are going to think there's something wrong with me after how harsh I've been on the last few movies to be this positive, but honestly, like genuinely, there are some things that I'm just like, oh my goodness, this just makes it so different. I'm so excited to talk about this that I guess I'm just skipping over the chasings. Like I said, I love the music for all of them, and I guess that was all I had to say.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I do like with this chase scene in particular, it's, since we're not dealing with the pirate mystery yet, it's not a pirate-esque song, and then the other chases we get are more piratey type music.
It's certainly very well stylized throughout the movie, like you say.
Yeah, like with the others, it's almost the same vibe. Like you're getting different sections of a really good song each time. It's almost like you could play them back to back and it could be the same song. So I guess that takes us to the reveal, like you say, that, you know, the reveal that it is the mystery cruise. And I feel like this is quite original. And again, like I say, it's just nice at this point to see that it's Fred's parents that are embracing him.
Yeah, I agree.
But also we get some classic cameos because of this reveal that I'm sure maybe smASH can enlighten us more about. The ones that I wrote down were Captain Cutler and I think the werewolf.
Yeah, there was Captain Cutler, Shaggy and Scooby fished out and pulled off the helmet. Then we had the Wolfman pop up, and these are all from Where Are You? Scooby Doo, Where Are You? Then we had the Ghost Clown pop up as well. But not only that, this would be more so something that like you'd really have to pay attention to, but the backgrounds of like this whole sequence leading up to being like, okay, all the mysteries are finished type thing. But the background characters are, for the most part, a lot of them are actually people we have seen throughout the What's New Scooby-Doo series. And so, although they never really talk or are mentioned, it's kind of fun to see all these faces that you've been watching throughout the series now in this movie.
Yeah, I noticed that, especially going on to like later scenes, like with like the dinner. But with this as well, like I wrote down that one of the more prominent monsters that they unmask is Medusa. And I think that would be such a fun monster for them to face, especially after the Where's My Mummy movie, like turning people to stone. So I've got to ask, is there any Scooby movie or Scooby like episode where they face a Medusa type villain?
Funny you asked that, because they actually just barely did it. One of the most recent episodes that just dropped from Scooby-Doo and Guess Who, the one guest starring Dynamite and Blue Falcon, actually, they face off with Medusa. So they finally did, actually.
That's so cool, because I was just thinking, wow, if there's ever something like that, I would love to see it, just because it's such a cool power and just so creepy as well. Like, I feel like Medusa would be Milly's worst enemy with all the snakes in her hair.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you like snakes.
Yeah, kind of. I want to hold one and see what it's like.
Blech.
Yes, like I held a black whip snake. It's completely non-venomous, but on holiday, and Oh, I would love a pet snake. Like, the one thing on my bucket list is just to get
See?
a pet. Not a dangerous one,
It'd be a
obviously.
cool little.
No.
Yeah, me and
creature
Millie,
to
we
have.
can stay away. They can go get their snakes together.
They're just sweet. Like, some of them that aren't, like, venomous. Like, they just wrap up around you. They're, like, they curl into little balls. Like, they're just, I don't know. I just think
They're just vibing. Don't harsh their mellow.
Yeah, see, Millie's just there trying to take away their mojo.
Maybe.
It's okay, me too.
So, Medusa is not a vibe. For all I do like snakes, having snakes in your hair would be ridiculous. Because could you imagine trying to eat like a sandwich or something? And that would be good.
Yeah.
Actually, you know, that would be pretty good for weight loss, you know. You could have like a hat with snakes on it and they just steal all your food.
True.
You know what? I'm gonna copyright that. I'm gonna copyright that. So the notes. Okay, so another note after that sequence is that the people getting mad at the gang for solving the mysteries is quite a nice twist, because for all in the other movies, there's like people going, you know, what are you doing? You're ruining this. Like, this isn't the thing to do. And obviously the suspects aren't happy. But I feel like at the end of those movies, it's always, you know, thank goodness you've solved it. That's amazing. Whereas at this time, they're almost like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, we don't mean to keep doing this.
But I mean, just before that, like, they reached the stage where Shaggy and Scooby, without any input, are just ripping the heads off them. Like,
I'm so sorry. I just
not off the people, but off the villains. Like, oh, I'm sitting at the dining
The
table,
masks off.
head appears, it's fine, I'll just rip the mask off myself. Like, do we ever really see Shaggy and Scooby in a position where they're like, do you know what, it's fine, it's a mask, here you go? We never see that. But in this, it just becomes so blatantly obvious that they are like ripping the masks off themselves. So at this point, if it becomes that obvious, I don't think you can be, anybody could have been angry that Mystery Inc. were like, okay, yeah, we've done it all. Because I think if you've reached a stage where Shaggy and Scooby are comfortable, then they've not even tried.
Yeah.
I mean, it almost would have been a sincere gesture for the gang to just go, right, even though we've kind of made a bit of a stinker of this cruise for everyone, we'll like try and reenact one of our old mysteries for the people to solve. I think that would have been a nice gesture, and it would have been a good like little cameo piece as well. That would have been nice. Like, I don't know which one they could have done on a boat necessarily, though, I guess.
It reminds me of something we'd been talking about a few weeks ago. We said we'd love to find a Scooby Doo escape room.
You know what? That would be legit.
Oh, guys.
Oh, no.
Speaking of.
Oh, no.
Okay. So, first of all, at least there was, I don't exactly remember where, but there was a Scooby Doo escape room, but it was like, I don't know, and just in like some random city. But we recently got a escape room board game, Scooby Doo. I don't know if you've ever done one of those.
Escape room board game? No, like my board game knowledge is literally Monopoly and Monopoly. I don't even know. Oh, I had Kids Cluedo, like who ate the cake.
But what this board game is like, you basically have like all these different books for all the different characters, you know, of the gang, and it more or less tells you like who you can or can't use at the time. But there's a whole story going on, so it makes sense. And like each character has different abilities. So like, Fred investigates, Daphne uses, Scooby sniffs, Shaggy eats, type of thing. And so you basically get a room by room, you know, like as you're progressing, you get these different rooms that you can investigate, and you go to like these different objects or these different things within the room, and the game tells you to literally do anything. And so it's like, if you've gotten to the point where you don't know what you're doing, just have Shaggy try to eat that picture frame. Just see what happens, you know, like, and so it's really interesting because then there's also like envelopes that you'll open eventually that give you different items. Like we had to use a picture frame at one point to find a clue, and so it's really, really cool. We're still trying to get through it because honestly, it takes a lot of time. if you have like literally all day, you maybe could do it in a day, but it is not like a half hour kind of game. It's like a good chunk of hours, but I would look into it. It's something like Scooby Doo Escape from the Mystery Mansion or something board game. I got it on the Prime deal the other week. I was like, hey, cool, let's get this.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. You know what? I think these episodes are costing me way too much money, because I always you always tell me about these really cool things, and then I eBay them, and then I'm almost
I need to stop.
a bit like seduced, because I'll find some like pretty old vintage like things, and it's like, okay, I can get it for $20. Oh, and then it's only like $20 shipping. Okay, so that kind of evens out. That's $40. And then it will hit me with like $30 import fees. So it's like, right, I kind of can't not, but I don't know what I'm doing. Hopefully this game saw the light of day in the UK, but I would say, just looking at like, I guess some of the Scooby shelves and stuff, a good 80% of the things, like minus the DVDs, have been imported from America.
Wow.
And it's hurt me. I don't know what it is with the UK, but one of these days I think I'm gonna have to move.
I just gotta stop talking, apparently. I'm costing you money.
No, don't stop talking. But I mean, I don't know. I'm telling you not to stop talking, but if I had an account, I'm sure that they'd be like just placing an embargo on this series.
They'd be like, you can't talk to that kid anymore. Sorry.
Oh my god. Oh, actually, speaking of like games though, that just reminded me, I've had like a little brainwave. Either did this game, or not this game, did this movie either have a tie-in PC game? Or did anyone play, and I might be remembering this wrong yet again, but I used to be addicted to this Scooby Doo game. It wasn't like one of the, episodes that you just play through, but it was almost like a click and move type game. I don't know, I can't remember, but it was on a boat. You played as Shaggy, and I think Scooby occasionally, and it was on the PC, and I don't know, it was just on a website, not a disc or anything. Does anyone know what I'm talking about?
So there might have been like a web game for this, because they kind of did that here and there with these movies of like, oh, go to the Scooby Doo website, and there's just like a little flash game that you can play. Maybe takes you like 5 minutes in total or whatever. But this DVD also actually had a DVD game that you could play on the DVD player.
I actually had a go at that, because I think the first walkthrough we tried to do, it was just after work, and Millie had a little snooze, and I'd just finished the movie, and I didn't have the heart to just shake her awake. So there's that little cannon game, isn't there, where you blast the pirate, and I was just there okay, I'm gonna try and do this. And I lost eventually, just because I wasn't paying attention, but...
Oh, shoot.
The last couple of movies I've had that, I think starting from Aloha, they've had some runners.
Yeah.
Yeah, uh-huh.
That's cool.
I think you did certainly say that it almost feels like things pick up a bit here, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is where we start to really kick things into gear, I'm gonna say. So obviously, we do all this stuff where the kind of gang have just been a bit rumbled. They would have just been rumbled for solving all the mysteries, essentially.
Yeah.
And this is where the castaway comes back in, unless I'm jumping the mark.
No, I agree with you. Where I've got in my notes is pretty much the same thing, that we see the castaway and then the millionaire appears too.
But this is where I'm going to get annoying, because a massive part of what I've tried to be trained in and what I did, prior to just doing nothing and being a student, was working on boats in terms of marinas and getting trained on how to handle protocol, and just seeing how the castaway is treated. No way would that happen. No way would the castaway be allowed within a 5-meter radius of any commercial passengers on that vessel. They would be taken by security, escorted down to the brig, and would have been interrogated just by a professional. That would not happen. But
this Okay, freaking TikTok has ruined this too, because there's like a castaway. Mariah actually brought it up, but as soon as it like pans to him in the water, she starts going castaways, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I curse you, TikTok.
Yeah, what are they? That was like an old TV show, wasn't it? Like these little
Backyardigans.
Yes, we are castaways. I found a KK Slider version of that the other day, actually.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And I was vibing.
You can literally find anything in that though, right?
Yeah, well, there's like a channel that does it. I forgot them, but like they just did like that Gayote song, somebody that I used to know in KK Slider form. But yeah, I mean, maybe let's not trigger anyone. Maybe let's not call this gentleman a castaway. Maybe
he is a
stowaway. Well, not a stowaway.
Stowaway.
A rascal. They're just a rascal, essentially.
A rascal.
So yeah, so we've got Mr. Rascal that comes on board.
Now, when he arrives, it's not long after that the gang start being like, you know, we're going to stay out of this mystery, we're going to leave you to solve this one for everyone, right? And I don't know, like, as a child, this, for me, has every element you want a movie to. You want, as a child, to feel intelligent. You want to know what's going on.
That'd be nice.
Almost wish that you could tell them to stop doing what they were doing. And that's very formulaic for this. You know that, like, this is the real one. They need to like kind of stop before they get in trouble. They need to start solving this.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it's fine. We'll sit back. We'll let you do it. And it's like, no, this really is the real one.
Bear in mind though, when I was making these notes, I was convinced that it was like, oh yeah, they're gonna make it seem obvious that it is fake, so that we're gonna think it isn't fake, and then we're gonna be surprised when it's revealed that it is fake. But no, I was thwarted. But I've got to say, I don't want to like talk badly or negatively, but something about the Rascal like voice acting, it just didn't sit right. Like it didn't feel like they were talking from that character. It just felt very almost like it had been redubbed, like re-voiced over, and it just didn't seem right. And it's the first time in any of these movies that I've heard the voice and gone, I don't know if that works.
Okay. No, I'd agree with you, I think.
My biggest thing, I kind of picked up a little bit on that too, watching it again. I just almost felt like I mean, yeah, I guess he just wasn't the best pick for this character, whoever the voice actor is, but like when I was rewatching it, I almost felt like I don't even know, almost like spoke really fast, kind of like just getting my lines out, you know, like blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, like, are you even into this? Like,
yeah, that was it. Like they were given such, you know, dramatic lines on like, you know, warnings to give, but it just felt like they were just, you know, not into it in the same way, which is not something you need when they've got like lines to deliver. It was like,
yeah,
if we don't get out of here soon, we're going to be blown to bits, we're going to be doomed. And you know.
To me they almost, I don't know, they almost didn't utilize what they had. So I feel like not only for the castaway, but also like the billionaire that turns up, neither one of them gets the full credit. Like, granted, the first one appeared in the title sequence, but they just don't do enough with any of them.
Yeah, who is that Biff Wellington geezer? Like, he reminded me of, who's that Virgin guy? The train guy. Is it Richard Branson?
Yeah.
He looks
but
like
he just
him.
Turns up for a few seconds, and you're expected to remember them and realize that they're prominent, and they just don't make you realize that.
I think like this is like the only time we see them before like the end, and then that's it.
Yeah, pretty much. Cause like I'm surprised we never got to see at least him at the party. You know,
it's like they disappear until the end again, and it's just so unnecessary.
And I don't remember Biff Wellington. I'm convinced, you know, I've slipped into some multiverse and Biff Wellington was just added in last minute to...
Did you see the director's cut?
Whoever was Fred's parents.
This is like Loki stuff though. I feel that I saw the wrong version of it and I just got my mind wiped. Like, I'm convinced that I've seen the right version of this and that this Biff Wellington is so out of place because they've just had to re-add it in so I haven't damaged the timeline. Like, this to me is nuts. And, like, jetpacks, are they even real? Well, that's a stupid question, but are jetpacks real? Because I've seen them on TV since I was born, and I've never even heard of one being in action in real life.
I don't know, should we look it up?
Yeah, let's eBay it. That'll be the next thing.
Jetpacks real.
Mythbusters.
I was going to say, just progressing on from that slightly, just after that they announced that they're going to do the costume party that evening, right?
Yeah. And
I almost want to say I was disappointed in the costumes that they chose for the characters.
You missed the spoof ones though.
Do you mean?
When Shaggy and Scooby were dressing like Daphne and Velma.
I didn't miss that.
Did you not?
No. I just feel like sometimes they can make things a bit more relevant, like a throwback to a different movie or something. And I was just a bit like, nah, these ones aren't great.
It was like a leprechaun. Well, okay, that's something that I want to ask a bit later. Like, a load of Shaggy and Scooby's costumes were rejected because they were already taken. But I actually didn't pay attention to see if any of the couples were wearing the outfits that Shaggy and Scooby initially wanted.
Ooh, interesting.
True.
I might need to rewatch.
Or whether the person just didn't like them and wanted to make them look a bit stupid.
Yeah. Maybe like we'll do like a reunion podcast in 10 years where we've like rewatched things. For like everyone again, like smash or pass. Where are they now?
Yeah.
Okay, but I wanted to talk about the Daphne and Velma costume that they put on because in the podcast that I do, we're going through the Scooby stuff as a cohesive timeline, and right now in this What's New era, we're kind of like debating if they're very well known, and that's like why they don't have to go to school because they just have made a name for themselves solving mystery and stuff. And so I'm like, okay, I get it that Shaggy and Scooby, but I just want to know, is there Daphne and Velma costumes that they can buy in this universe? Because the lady didn't technically say someone else had it, but she basically rejected it and was like, oh, I have the perfect one for you. So I'm like, is someone else Daphne and Velma somewhere?
Yeah, like, I did pay attention to this. Do they, and it's not really prominent for Velma, but is Shaggy in Daphne's What's New outfit or in Daphne's Where Are You outfit?
I'm pretty sure it's the What's New, but I could be wrong.
Because I noticed that the backing track for that was like a kind of funky version of the...
Yep,
So I'm a bit confused now. I don't really remember. But that would have been cool, though. I don't imagine that there would be, I guess, Daphne and Velma cosplay and not, like, Fred and the others.
Yeah, true. I will say, though, without spoiling anything in case you guys haven't seen it yet, but these costumes that Shaggy and Scooby put on, the Daphne and Velma ones, they come back in a movie, and in just a few movies, actually.
Really? That's... I don't know what to think about that. Do they just have like a weird on the side hobby?
Well, it's funny how they're brought up in the other movie because like when they do come back in that movie, like these costumes are a prominent part of like the plot to this movie.
Jeez, I just imagine. I don't know how to feel about that, but I guess they're just...
I know, what are you two doing?
They're just doing their thing.
Scooby.
Like, they're having fun, and I guess clearly Daphne and Velma don't mind, so... Yeah. So... Right. So, let's see this now. Do we go straight from the kind of rejected outfits and whatnot to the
party? To the party.
Okay, so... Up until that point, has everyone said what they needed to say about the movie so far?
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say?
Oh, I don't know.
Did you have any words about Biff Wellington?
Biff
Or
Wellington.
the castaway?
I thought Biff's name was funny. It sounded like a villain name. Biff.
Yeah, Biff, or like Beef Wellington.
Yeah, exactly. What?
I like that, and I am gonna like choose different intervals to like ask if everyone's finished, because truth be told, I'm not used to juggling this many people on like a recording, but I'm really liking it. I think last time we did this was ages and ages ago, and it was suitably chaotic, but it was fun. So I guess, Millie, do you have any opinions about this costume party now? Like, would you like to go, and what would you dress as?
I don't know what I'd dress at, but just the costume party in general is for me where this movie takes a slightly negative turn, I want to say.
Negative? Okay, that's interesting.
Because I've been loving this movie all the way through so far. I've been loving some of the reveals. I've been loving that we just know so much more. One thing I don't love is the kind of Mr. Mysterio thing managing, like doing his little performance, and everyone's completely captivated except Shaggy and Scooby.
Yeah, why is that? Is it like
I don't know, but I don't like it.
Is it like a law-based reason why that's the case?
Kind of. It's been done a few times. I mean, there have been some instances where Shaggy's been a little hypnotized, but Scooby like always seems to never be able to be hypnotized, and their kind of excuse is like, oh, he's a dog, so he doesn't have this part of his brain or something. But this is pretty prominent for Shaggy and Scooby's characters to not be able to be hypnotized because they're kind of just so not fully there, I guess you could say, that they're just kind of like, yeah, we weren't really paying attention. What's going on, you know? So this is very on brand for the character at this point.
Yeah, and from my point of view, when I was getting all excited in my delusions in the note, I was like, this is the first sign that it's, Fred's parents, because if you notice, every single person, other than the gang, are hypnotized. So it's like, oh my gosh, so everyone that's acting hypnotized is in on this grand plan, and that's going to be revealed at the end. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm ever going to let that one go, but the hypnotism thing is interesting because I'm curious, again, like with the alien aspect, is like genuine hypnotism counted as supernatural?
In the Scooby universe?
Yeah, like, because there's always that argument of, Scooby shouldn't be supernatural, Scooby should be supernatural. There's always, like people that really hate it when the monsters are always fake, or people that hate it when the monsters are always real. And it's like, because we see a genuine instance of, hypnosis being used, is hypnosis enough to call this a movie where this time they're real again?
Just from what I've seen, most people, and the people that, don't like supernatural in their Scooby, don't consider hypnosis to be supernatural. I think more so, if people really had a problem with this movie with the supernatural aspects, it'd more so be part of the Heaven's Light part towards the end. But no, I've never seen anyone have a problem with hypnosis in Scooby.
Okay, I like that.
But I don't know, just for me, the hypnosis thing, it could have set up a really good explanation at the end, which obviously we're not rushing on to yet. And it was just like, if only it had applied to Shaggy and Scooby, you'd have had a really good solution. And as it is, I just think it's a bit... We'll come on to it at the end, but for me, this was just the first thing where I was like, you could have set up something different here.
Yeah.
I just have a huge plot hole here. Like, I really like the idea of how they were planning to do this and stuff. But my biggest thing here is, during this time we see the pirates are, coming to invade the ship and stuff, and I'm like, isn't your crew supposed to be all these people you just supposedly hypnotized? Who are these people? The whole transition doesn't make sense to me, because I'm like, we clearly see the people being taken, and yet you just have hordes of pirates coming, and there's no way you dressed them up that fast.
Yeah, maybe they've got like Daphne's quick change skills there.
Honestly, though, yeah.
But more like on that like change and like Daphne aspect, one thing that I thought was a bit odd was obviously in terms of the costumes that they choose. You know, Scooby and Shaggy are chickens because they're scared. You know, and you've got Velma almost doing a callback to Where's My Mummy? But then they've got Fred in a cowboy outfit, which, you know, I'm pretty sure I've seen that before somewhere, or there's some reference. But then they just got Daphne in this, like, cat outfit, and it's like, well, okay, it looks cool. It's like Super Mario 3D World or something, but, like, is there, like, is that a reference to anything? Because it just seemed a bit out of place.
Yeah, so all these costumes are actually referenced to something. So Velma and her belly dancing, you know, kind of outfit is from the Mummy Scares Best episode of What's New Scooby Doo. Fred's cowboy outfit is from a Scooby Go West, I believe is what it's called. But the cowboy episode of What's New Scooby Doo, where they're all dressed up as cowboys. And then Daphne's cat costume is pretty prominent. She's been a cat in like Halloween episodes before and stuff, and this costume will come back in a few movies, but it'll just be a black alteration of a cat costume. So besides Shaggy and Scooby's chicken costume, the rest of the gang's costumes we have seen before this movie.
Okay, I like that a lot. I like how they've added in references. And references are fine, to be honest. Like, I like how it references itself. The part where I think it may be a negative, well, I don't know if I'm reading too much into this, but in the background of this scene especially, there's like a worm cult person from a What's New episode. There's literally the exact same person that was in like the Ascubus group last movie. And so are they added in as background characters that are fun if you spot them, or is it just like they couldn't be bothered to animate more people, so they just copied and pasted from like their archives? Like, I don't know which one that would have been, or neither of them.
It's probably honestly both. They were probably like, we don't want to make new models for all these characters, and so someone was like, you know, let's just use the excuse that's going to be fun for the Scooby fans to pick out these familiar faces, but we just won't have them talk, so that way it doesn't mess with anything. So I honestly think it's the case of both.
Okay, and that isn't too bad, to be honest, because they don't overuse it, although I am a bit disappointed, if anything, that it's, you know, Scooby Doo where people get unmasked like every episode, and they're at a costume party, and there's not a few more references to certain things.
There is, I believe, in this, at one point, you can see one of the girls, there were sisters in this, the roller coaster episode of What's New Scooby-Doo, and one of the sisters ended up being the monster, and I believe you can see both the sisters at one point in the background, and so it's a little like, oh, is she out of jail already? Well, technically, actually, she never went to jail, because they were just like, oh, just a slap on the wrist and you're fine. So actually, technically, that could work. That could work, of her being like, oh, I'm still free and doing my thing, you know, but it is just interesting because there is at least one villain, you know, criminal that we do see in the background of this movie.
I love that episode, you know, like it was like that green monster in the roller skates, wasn't it? Oh, yeah. So that's good to know. And like you say, now we're moving on to the part where apparently this quick change has happened and all the passengers are now pirates. So this happened.
Makes sense to me.
But it leads on to another chase song, which isn't the one that I remember mostly. But again, this song is another banger. Like,
yeah, it's one that I mentioned earlier. This is the one where I commented in my notes below that I'd been waiting for a chase song since the Loch Ness. So for a couple of movies, I'd been sat kind of waiting around, hoping for something a bit bigger. And then my notes for this one is literally just like Finally. It says chase song finally. Like, I'd been waiting for a good one for a few episodes and for a few movies, and it's finally here.
Yeah, because it was, for some reason, they completely ditched the traditional chase songs in Aloha, and they brought them back for Where's My Mummy, but not to the point where it's like a song that you would necessarily listen to and jam to, but one that was a bit more catchy. But in this one, they've full on gone back to like formula of, yes, let's just choose bangers.
Yeah, I love the songs in this movie, and I was just saying to Mariah, I believe this was her favorite of this movie, because when you're on the DVD menu, at least of my DVD copy of this one, it plays an instrumental version of this song, and she was like, I like this song, can I have it on my Spotify? And so I was like, I don't know if there's technically a full instrumental version, so I showed her the words one, and she was, you know, just teasing, being like, no, take the words away.
That's actually really cool, because I find myself often like encapsulated by just instruments in general and like compositions, and like, I don't know, I just feel that when I'm torn between which chase song I like, that says something, because it seems like in a lot of them there's always like the first chase song, which is a bit like the opening act, and then there's the main one. And it's definitely the case with this as well, in terms of what we see on the screen and what's happening. But in song alone, it's fantastic. But I guess it doesn't always need to be in that order, because obviously the Loch Ness Monster one, the first chase song was the one that I think was our favourite. And the second one was a bit like, it was fine, but not as, you know, on that level.
I mean, the Loch Ness one was certainly one that I was singing for like a week after. And it's...
Yeah.
But this one, I feel like it's one that I could at least be humming after that time, so it's good.
Yeah, it's a bit too fast-paced for me to learn the lyrics, but I'll give it a good go one day. Another thing that I really liked about this is that you can almost pick a pirate and follow their story all throughout the film. Like, not in terms of like that they would have some massive character development, but they definitely gave character and individualism to all of these pirates.
Yeah, I agree with that. They definitely selected like a handful of pirates, maybe say like 10 or something, and we're like, oh, these pirates are very prominent, and if you know, you can kind of follow along with what they do, and some of them have personalities. Like there's one during this chase, you know, that like goes up to the guy and just steals his sandwich and is like, thanks, you know, like, you know, they have all these personalities. And then I mean, there's some that are introduced after this scene too that you're like, ooh, these are fun and whatever. But I have to agree, I kind of like that they kind of gave some of these pirates personalities, and you can kind of follow along with them, you know, if you watch the background. I would say it's kind of like Zombie Island, but I feel like a lot of the zombies in that one, I guess, didn't necessarily have a lot of personality, because they were all just kind of, you know, warning the gang more or less. But
yeah, for sure. And in terms of the scope of this as well, I think Fred's parents getting kidnapped after being so likable, if not a little bit, you know, daunting, did add some gravity to this scene. But again, I thought I'd got this figured out, but in hindsight, it does make it a bit more powerful, because for all it's not like a member of the gang being taken, it's the closest thing at this point.
And I have to laugh at his comment. He's like, now it's parental.
Yes, I literally wrote that down, because I know last episode we had a discussion about Frank Welker being more comedic.
Yes.
And that line was just so good. And the fact that they're on a boat, it just reminds me that like the tagline of one of the later Jaws movies was "This time it's personal." So
yeah,
to have that come up, it was like, okay, that's amazing.
I wonder if Frank came up with that, you know, or if it was written.
You know what? Maybe you could ask him.
Yeah, true. I can be like, hey, this scene right here, Frank, I want to know. Did you come up with, do you remember? I wonder if he would remember. He does so much.
Yeah, I think don't they say that doesn't Frank Welker have like the most voice acting credits out of anyone?
I would not doubt it, because he does just about any animal you've ever heard in anything.
You know, one of these days I want to have like a Frank Welker-a-thon. Just trying
That'd
to
be amazing.
find every maybe movie, because I think TV show will take years and years and years. But every movie that he's like had some, even if it's been like a guard dog's had a bit of like a growl in a scene, we'll just do it.
Yeah, I know he has like The Lion King, he has Aladdin, he does Garfield, he does Transformers, like
That's mad. I'd love to be able to do something like that. Imagine that. But no. I didn't know that they were in The Lion King though.
yeah, he's the Cave of Wonders, and he did it for the cartoon and the live action one.
That's epic. I wonder, just being Frank Welker, like in real life, if he never just does them in his personal time.
I wonder, like, does he, I mean, I wonder if he has grandchildren, but does he just like
Aw.
sit and do all these voices to, like, these kids, and he's like, oh yeah, and here's a new one, here's a new character or whatever. Like, does he just do it on his downtime? I'd like to.
Yeah, or does he just like puts on little puppet shows?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's too cute. So now, we get okay. So Fred's driving the cruise ship at this point, and I'm not happy
because it's just like the Mystery Machine, only on water.
I'm not happy about that, but I'm gonna stop. But it's cool that they're in that position where they're not necessarily stranded. They can get from location to location. And I'm a bit lost now. Milly, do you have anything on your notes about where they get to? I think, is this where they start to follow the trail?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think ultimately this leads to just them encountering the pirates again, or does it flick to Fred's dad's point of view at this point?
I think it briefly flicks to Fred's dad's point of view, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, because then they started attacking the cruise ship, and his dad's like thinking, oh gosh, they just sunk.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's another thing about the threat in this movie, because for all we find out that the stowaway is alive, like that, they sink an entire cruise liner.
Yeah.
Like no nothing, like, and they cost so much money to produce. So we've got people committing genuine acts of, I don't know what we call this,
Criminal
like,
damage.
and the amount of people that can board a cruise ship for it to like go, there definitely isn't as many pirates as there is to fill the capacity of that cruise ship. So it's like, did they sink genuine passengers? Like there's, oh gosh, this is gonna get way too dark, but let's put it like this. We never see a pirate that's a kid.
Yeah, we don't.
So
The smallest one is Mr. Mysterio. I can't think of his pirate's name.
yeah. So either if we're to either assume that this cruise ship had no kids on it, or make of that what you will.
Well, in my thought too, I always thought with this is like, well, because like we know the story of the Titanic and whatnot, and so I'm always like, okay, so in the Scooby universe, like eventually, like someone's gonna go down and see this cruise ship that sunk and be like, what's this story?
That would be a pretty cool episode, though, to be fair. Like, just exploring.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like a genuine thing, and you see that Fred's dad's obviously upset. But what I don't like about this is that, and they do this consistently throughout the entire movie, and I think maybe if they did it once or twice, it'd be forgivable. But there's meant to be this whole mystery about, Fred's dad asking where his wife is. But then every time he asks where his wife is, they cut to the female pirate, this Sea Salt Sally.
Sea Salt Sally, yep.
And either she replies to him, or she's the next pirate that's shown after he asks the question. And it's like, okay, like, you're introducing a new, like, female pirate, that's awesome. But if you're making it so obvious that that's who it is, like, why even do that? Like, why even add that in there? Are they trying to insinuate that it's Fred's mum that's behind it, and it's going to be a shocking reveal because the dad's going to be upset? Or I don't know quite what the point is of making such an obvious mystery behind that section.
I think a lot of it was comedic too, because at one point, he's like, "Where's my wife?" And the pirate versions, Sally was basically like, "Whoever that poor woman is, she's gonna be thanking me for this," you know.
Yeah, that made me laugh. That poor woman. And oh my gosh. Okay, I don't know how to feel about this. I'm really interested to hear everyone's opinion. So there's a sequence either just before or just after that segment where we pan to all of the pirates kind of drinking and singing that typical pirate yo ho ho song. And it's like, could this be another polarizing movie? Now, we were speaking about this way back when we did Alien Invaders, that was the first one that people could have just actively not watched, because I feel that sci-fi and aliens is a unique genre that stays apart from Scooby Doo. And again here, this scene is so cliche, but I know that I really like it because I like, pirate stuff. Was this almost another movie that some people might have just skipped over because they're like, yeah, the pirate thing just isn't what I'm interested in?
Oh, 1000%. I can say wholeheartedly that, unless you're like a big Scooby fan, this one goes under so many people's radars, and I would honestly say there's, even like Aloha and Where's My Mummy get more recognition than this one. One of the biggest the hardest things though too is that this movie is one of the last ones. Well, it pretty much is the last one before the next like 3 movies. I believe they go full-fledged Shaggy and Scooby misadventures, and so like people really remember the next 3 movies because they really changed the formula a lot of having Scooby and Shaggy go on these misadventures and the rest of the gang being, kind of in the backseat of the whole thing. And so, I don't know, this, I can say just without a doubt that this is one of the most underwatched, underrated Scooby-Doo movies ever.
I like that, because with the ones that I've got nostalgia with, I feel like I wouldn't have done any background research on. But it's interesting to hear that, because again, that very scene with the pirates drinking and singing probably happened in every pirate thing. And that just got me thinking that, okay, for all this is not original at all, I can fully acknowledge that if I was someone that didn't like the pirate genre, this would be like a situation where you just turn it off and go, yeah, this isn't my thing. But you mentioned that the next 3 movies are like Shaggy and Scooby ones. What are the next 3? Is it Chill Out,
we have
Goblin
Chill
King,
Out,
and
Scooby-Doo,
something else?
Goblin King, and Samurai Sword. The Chill Out Scooby-Doo, I will say, is a little more of a transition movie. It's not quite fully Shaggy and Scooby shenanigans, but it is way more heavily Shaggy and Scooby. And then Goblin King and Samurai Sword are like, I will say especially Goblin King, more so than Samurai Sword, are just full-fledged Shaggy and Scooby misadventures. If you've ever seen the Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo shorts, I'm like, this is like 20 of those put into one movie. So people are very mixed on these next 3 movies, I will say, but we'll get into those when we do.
That's interesting, and one of them is one that I don't think Millie and I have ever seen before, so that's going to be interesting.
Ooh, which one's that one?
That would be the Goblin King, and I don't know why I missed it, because every single one of these I've consistently seen, but there's just that one gap where I just skipped, I think, from Chill Out to Samurai Sword.
Okay, so yeah, Goblin King will be a really, really interesting one. I'm excited to hear you guys' thoughts.
I'm looking forward to that a lot.
I feel like you're either going to love it or hate it, because that's how so many people are. They either love it or they hate it, or they just don't watch it.
I mean, I'm keen to find one where Millie and I are just like hard disagreeing. Because I don't feel that's happened yet. Maybe the closest has been Aloha, but I think other than that,
Yeah.
we've all been quite unanimous.
Aloha, JB's still not forgiven me for. He was like, you were far too harsh on that movie. Only 2 days ago, he was like, you were too harsh.
I need to have Mariah watch it, see what she thinks.
Oh, the Aloha one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to watch that.
Yeah, we should. Oh, imagine that we could do that. We could do like Mariah specials for all.
Yeah, when
of
she's the
them.
casting vote.
One of these days we could get to that. That would be amazing.
Yeah, we could do like we could even just do like really short ones of like 30-minute Mariah's Mariah, I'm trying to think of a word.
Mariah's moments,
just have like
or Mariah minute.
Mariah's moments.
Mariah
minute. Oh my gosh, I love that. Yeah, just have her go through like all the ones that we did and get her quick thoughts.
Or just like a spin-off series where they do a smash or pass of an episode of Smash or Pass.
Yeah, true. Spin off of Mariah.
Smash or
That'd be
pass.
interesting.
Now I'm trying to think, what could we call this spin-off? Like Smash or Pass. Mariah's
Moments.
Mariah's Anyway, that's beside the point.
I'm actually kind of thinking now. Just like out of curiosity, that would be great. That would be great. Gosh, where are we? I'm
Little
lost.
Peter, where are we up to? I guess 2 things coming up that I guess I'm really looking forward to talking about. I'm not sure if that's quite where we are, but we start to see that Titanic reference. That's kind of the next thing I have written down.
Yeah.
What is the Titanic reference? Because I know
Don't
that
they
at the start they
stand
go like, "I'm the king of the world," but I thought that was at the start.
I think there's 2, isn't there? Isn't the one where they go to stand at the front of the boat, but also one where the boat starts to sink, and that's like Titanic as well, in that they run to the top of the boat and jump off from the top?
I mean,
Yes.
I don't know if I would call a big boat sinking necessarily
Okay,
a Titanic
fine.
reference.
Yeah, but it's like
Imagine that you
less
just
than-
like
You get the
strong
vibe.
I understood that reference.
it's
Good one,
less than
boat.
5 minutes apart where they stood at the front and then it starts to sink and it's dealt with in exactly the same way.
I mean, I would be scared. I'm not gonna lie. That's one of my main.
I
fears.
always appreciate other movie references if they're incorporated nicely. This was one where I was like subtle enough. I also kind of appreciated, what was the movie where there was the Wizard of Oz references?
Was it the vampire where they're like lions and tigers and wolves or something? Because
No, I thought it was Monster of Mexico.
Yeah, because it was like the man behind the curtain in
and
the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it would have been
Yeah.
Monster of Mexico.
Well, I didn't like the Monster of Mexico. I like the Wizard of Oz references, and again here, I really liked it for the just like little Titanic bits. I also think coming up, I'm sorry, there was a moment where, is it Fred? Somebody says, "Scooby Doo, where are you?"
I think it's Fred's dad.
Yes, it's Fred's
Yeah,
dad, and
uh-huh.
literally in that moment, I'm just so happy.
Oh, okay. Random. I think JB is gonna really like the next movie. There is a moment.
Ooh, what's the moment?
There's a
Reveal.
moment with Daphne where she's
Oh,
like
no.
having a moment.
Moment? No, I don't. I'm
No,
being
no,
teased.
no.
I'm being teased.
Smash, please. We've got
No,
work
speak-
at 9
no,
o'clock,
no.
and JB is now going to be watching the movie, ready for next week.
Tell me about this moment, please.
I mean, okay, quick little side snippet. So yeah, the next movie, Shaggy and Scooby and the gang are split apart in the Himalayan mountains, and we have a moment of Daphne in despair, and she's like screams out into the Himalayan mountains, "Scooby Doo, where are you?"
I don't know. I just really like it whenever we hear that little phrase. It's just like, this is amazing.
We'll hear it for the next few movies, I believe, because they kind of went into this moment of like, ooh, we should have a character say it every movie, and then like after Samurai Sword, I think they kind of stopped that.
Yeah, they start and stop trends quite a lot, I find. Like with all the
Yeah.
Mook animation ones, every time Scooby is called a dog, he's like, dog? Where?
Yeah.
And then they scrap
Yep.
that. And then in the kind of reunion ones, they don't necessarily have like set phrases that they refer back to, but they insist on using the old backing tracks from the first series, which is good. And
Yeah.
then with these, there is that Scooby Doo, Where Are You? And I think it was in Where's My Mummy, Daphne says it again there, but I can't be sure. I don't remember. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that moment. I will be there to share that moment.
If I lied, I apologize, but I swear it's Daphne in that one. And then I want to say in Goblin King, she says it too, because they're, I mean, I won't try to spoil it, but they're being attacked by goblins, we'll say. And so there's like Scooby's like watching them through like a crystal ball, and he sees Daphne like scream out as they're being murdered almost.
That's quite dark.
Goblin King is actually kind of a darker movie if you dig into it like we will. But just from the surface, it's like, oh, this is a fun Halloween movie. But then, you know, once we dig into it, that one's kind of dark for how lighthearted it seems.
Yeah, I'd imagine that, because I don't know, maybe that's why. I don't know if there's like, and I'm not speculating too soon, but I'm thinking like if there's something, like my parents used to be so sensitive with what I was allowed to watch and what I wasn't allowed to watch. So maybe at some point they like got Goblin King and watched it, and there was just something in it that like upset them, and that's why I skipped straight to Samurai Sword, and I just maybe
Well,
that
I have to say
explains it.
too. I mean, we'll get to it once we get to that movie. But like, even the Goblin King trailer, I remember these trailers for whatever reason, but the Goblin King trailer made it so dark too.
I don't remember these. And in fact, I've almost been clickbaited by every single one of these DVDs. Because in the Mook Animation ones, in the special features, you could watch the old retro trailer from the time. And I was like, that is amazing, just to get a little time capsule of that moment. Because I was thinking a similar thing, like we went to an old collectibles shop the other day, and we picked up a massive stack of Buffy the Vampire Slayer comics. I'm just seeing all the adverts that you could have bought. There was like, you know, rings, like toys. And so I was really happy to find the old original trailers as part of the specials. But then you get to the What's New era, and it's literally just them trying to like push for like DVD releases and cinema releases that are going on at the time. And it's like, okay, that's another cool little time capsule, but I'd rather them include like the initial trailers under the trailer section rather than like an advert for Tom and Jerry Blast Off to Mars. But
I'm gonna send you the Pirates Ahoy trailer.
ooh.
They definitely went heavily on the pirates aspect. They don't really bring up like much of the Bermuda Triangle and aliens and stuff, but
You're her, think it is.
I'll hurry and send it to you guys.
So, Milly, do you have any thoughts about this so far? Where's your mind at? 'Cause
I guess my mind's at that series of moments, like I said, that I was really enjoying. So the Titanic kind of comparatives, the Scooby Doo, Where Are You? And then obviously when the boat sinks and they find the island. Just again, there's just a series of nice moments that I enjoyed. So again here, it's when they're like, let's build a raft, and then you get Daphne painting like the Mystery Machine flowers onto it. Kind of different colour variants. And also, you know, if we really wanted to get into it, where did she manage to find the paint? But it's just good to see, like, oh wow, like they don't have the Mystery Machine, but they're making this thing with the Mystery Machine colours to use to escape.
yeah, where did she get the paint from? I never thought
Okay.
about
Mariah asked this too
that. Makeup.
when we were watching it, and my theory is she picked some flowers and somehow used some of its nectar. That's my theory. I don't know why that makes sense to me, but it does.
Do we see the device that she's using? Because I'm always thinking like lipstick variant or Or is it literally like a paintbrush or something?
I mean, I'd say that it was too big for it to be makeup. We're talking about a raft, like,
Yeah.
pretty big size.
But purple's difficult to get, you know, isn't it difficult to make? Like, in general? Like, unless you've got like a purple tub of paint. So I don't know
Oh
how...
yeah, it's not a primary colour, you'd have to mix two.
What do you mix to make purple? Does anyone know?
Red and blue.
So, okay, so that's
Red
plausible.
artist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? Because red and blue flowers...
Berries.
Oh, berries? Okay.
You know what? One day I'm gonna try and do that, but...
But then none of that would be waterproof, would it? For like trying to.
We should do like a new YouTube series of like trying things from Scooby Doo episodes and movies of like, does this make sense? Is this how they did it?
You know what? I had a similar idea, and I don't know why I was thinking. You know what? No, that's what I was thinking about. So I was thinking about the newly announced Animal Crossing Monopoly game, which looks amazing. Yeah. I really want to get that, but I wanted to like try and assemble some like UK people to like try and collab on that. And someone we know is over down in Scotland, so I was like, okay, I could kill two birds with one stone here. We could travel down to Scotland to
Scotland's up.
We could travel up to Scotland. Wait, what's down? London's down. Okay, we can travel up to Scotland.
Oh, God.
No, Wales is down as well. I always get Wales and Scotland mixed up. Just let me be. I didn't pass geography.
You do know that we've passed the Loch Ness Monster. That was a couple of movies ago.
No,
I thought you were there with us.
In chronological order, I want to try and visit a location from every movie. So I could do a vlog in Loch Ness looking for the Loch Ness Monster. And you know what, Millie? When we find it, I'm going to feed it to you. But yeah, so Loch Ness, we're doing that vlog, and you're gonna like it. What is this tangent? What was I saying?
This started with Daphne's painting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we should. Okay, and Egypt as well would be a location that we can go to. We should visit any location.
Hawaii.
And it would end with smASH visiting us here for the Sword and the Scoob one.
Yeah, for the Sword and the Scoob.
That's how we secure the IRL like finale at the end.
I mean, admittedly, that's really good, but then we've got like Courage the Cowardly Dog and Scooby Doo.
Yeah, we just
out.
adopt a screaming dog and just do that.
Like, this is what we've always said about Smash or Pass, is that like even when it's finished, like even when we've gone through every movie, it's not going to take long before it's no longer finished. There's going to be another movie.
Yep. Well, that's kind of the same thing with our podcast, because like last year when we were doing it, because we just started ours last year, I was like, okay, from this year alone, there was 2 movies, and like I want to say there was like 13, maybe more episodes, and so I was like, that just gave us like 16 more podcast episodes in 1 year.
Good. This is the thing, is like Scooby Doo's just always, it's always there. It's always gonna, well, I hope that it's always gonna keep in there. It just keeps evolving, and there's just more and more every year.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to calculate, if everything goes to plan, obviously, when the Courage episode would be recorded. But I don't know.
Probably like, I mean, if all went well and we kept doing this every week, I kind of would say maybe March ?
Okay, so I've just done a quick count. I don't know if it's accurate, but if it all goes to plan, we should be recording it on a Thursday in 26 weeks' time. Oh my god, I don't know why I've got myself to counter this. Right, I'm going to give up on that venture. But I was almost thinking, like, if a new one would have either been announced or already released before that. When it's looking likely, because 26 episodes, 26 weeks, whereabouts would we be in 26 weeks?
26 weeks is pretty much half a year. So if you add 6 months on, then we're about December.
So maybe not. Maybe not.
But then shortly after that, there's going to be another. So don't worry.
That's when we've got the live actions, and then we have to go right back to the start of like Ghoul School.
Yeah.
So, kind of a little bit back to Pirates Ahoy. I'm not too sure where everyone is with this. My kind of next notes are when we start to see the missing boat and things, but I know there's a transition to get to that. So, JayBee, do you have anything in between the two?
Just the fact that there's like we go obviously to that abandoned island, and there's a log riding sequence, and usually from like a movie like The Monster of Mexico or Where's My Mummy, my cynical side would be coming out and going, oh wow, they totally just added this in to like increase, you know, running time. Like that's why there's like this extended section with like Scooby and Shaggy riding down the log. And for all I think that might factor into it here, it's also nice to see a location away from like the sea as such, and just add in some more green colours and stuff like that for a bit of variety. But it is also where we start to explore this island a bit, and then it also leads to something else story-wise. So it isn't just like Monster of Mexico where there's like some animatronic free-for-all for no reason.
Okay. See, I don't know, the next thing that I pick up on is that weird kind of serpent monster. Are you kind of there, JayBee, for me to talk about that?
Where is the serpent monster?
The sea monster thing, that's the next thing that I've got to. I feel like I've missed a bit out in my notes.
I'm thinking we're on this island still, and they're just about to uncover the... Although...
I'm kind of leaving this up to you, because like I said, I'm a little bit ahead.
I mean, they do flick to Fred's dad occasionally on the boat, and I think they do encounter, like, I guess projections or, like, you know, upscaled miniatures of the boats, so I don't know.
That's the sea monster is after the gang got captured because they're getting closer to the Bermuda Triangle, and so all these events are occurring and stuff. So yeah, Milly's jumped a little bit ahead.
Yeah, so JayBee, please, like...
Okay, so here's me thinking that I'm a clever guy. So they uncover this secret cave, and they find the castaway's boat intact. So there I'm like, okay, so clearly what we saw in the cold open wasn't like the whole story. It was like a prop boat to set the scene or something. And now this is going to be a bit more of the reveal that it was all fake, because if the boat was really blown up, it would be blown up. It wouldn't just be fully intact. But I think this appears to be an error, right? Unless the pirates scrambled to repair it after sinking it.
So yeah, I'm going to agree with you there, because unless, like you said, like, unless the entire thing didn't happen, there's no way they could have recovered that boat from the bottom of the ocean. It had started to sink quite clearly, and a lot of damage had been done. There's no way that it should have been repaired. But of course, smASH is our expert, so I guess this is a question for you.
Yeah, this honestly is a plot hole, I feel like, because, yeah, there's, like, no way that they could have, especially in that time, because, I mean, you know, we're, from the time of the cold open, you know, I think it's maybe only been, like, maybe a day or two, and so I'm like, there's no way they could have repaired it, you know, got it back out of the ocean and stuff. So that's where it's confusing. It's like, well, then what did we see sink down and have them attack and everything, and that yet, you know, they have it here, unless no, that wouldn't even work, because the boat is like undamaged, untouched when they go onto it in the cave. And so yeah, I really think this was something that they kind of were just like, kids won't notice, we'll just move on.
The only other thing I can think of that, again, bit of a plot, it's still a plot hole, but we don't know at this point, but we can guess, but it's not been unmasked as to who it is. Maybe if it was the castaway and they'd staged it, they could have almost had a replica boat. There could have been something on the real one that they wanted to preserve and keep. So they made this replica to make it look like it had been destroyed, though to the watchful eye, like, it's gone, that's it, it's no more. But obviously we have the
okay.
reveal afterwards, so we know that that's kind of disproved.
You actually just made me think, because, you know, a little bit after this, we see all the weird occurrences happen, and then, you know, they discover there's miniatures, there's projections and whatever. So, honestly, I'm gonna guess that they, like, made a semi-replica of the boat and, like, cannonballed that boat down and then stole the real one somehow, but that's really my only explanation for it.
Yeah, or I suppose given the eventual reveal with Biff Wellington, if this guy is some jet-setting billionaire, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility to recover that boat.
Yeah.
Although why they'd go through the effort of restoring it to the point that it's in pristine condition, I still don't know.
I mean, if the story was that the main thing was on this boat, they needed this boat, say it was some like maritime technology that was revolutionary and they needed it, then it'd explain why they needed the boat back. But I don't feel like they give a reason.
No, they never do, and it's just I don't know, I don't like it. For
I
that reason.
thought I thought they were looking for that picture that the guy was doing of the star, because they thought that could tell him where the location was of the Heaven's Light.
The issue is with that is that they must have retrieved it before it got that water damaged that it was unusable. And so if they've already got it before it was water damaged, then they don't have any need for the boat.
And why would they need to rebuild the full boat to get the picture? They could literally just go inside the boat, see that it's not there or whatever. That's it. They don't need to rebuild every hole that they punctured.
Or they could have made a little dirty deal, in all honesty. If this Wellington fella's like got this massive empire, give the castaway a couple of $1,000 and just say, right, find this location, please. And I think the castaway would do it. Like, there's nothing inherently unethical about finding that location necessarily. So I don't understand why this Wellington didn't just pay everyone off instead of going through this effort.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I should bring it up yet or not, but I guess just my question is, do we know, was Biff Wellington hypnotized, or was he just manipulated to do this?
It seems from my interpretation manipulated.
Yeah.
But given that it was manipulated by someone that could genuinely hypnotize, it's like, well, why not just hypnotize?
See,
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking two things with that. So the first one is I think it is genuine in that, like, they kind of say at the end, don't they, that, you know, I needed to tell you that it was this, or you'd never have agreed to it, like, if you'd have known it was this lump of gold kind of thing.
Yeah, like a Ben
almost
Ravencroft
like he did do it off his own merit. But not only that, like, I know that we've seen him hypnotize some people, but just the fact that he failed to hypnotize Shaggy and Scooby, I'm a bit like, are they that good, really?
Yeah, true.
Like, there's a few things, like, and I know I've mentioned this and we're kind of not there yet, but with that kind of, like, monster thing that we see, I was almost the kind of sea serpent thing. I was a bit like, okay, this probably isn't real. Are they hypnotized to see this? Is this, like, an imagination thing? Then, I don't know, they have different ways of explaining what that is, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and more on those types of illusions. I think the way they explained the plane and the boat anyway is that it was like a model of them, but they somehow projected them so that they were bigger. But when you don't know what it is, when they're getting closer to that triangle after being caught on like the replica boat or whatever, that is such an epic scene. Like the fact that there's old planes swooping in and there's sea monsters. Like I can't think back to a time that we've watched one of these movies and I thought, oh my gosh, this is like on a massive scale. Like it just, like, conceptually, all this to me is amazing.
I mean, since that you've mentioned it, I guess I'm kind of hoping I can now. The sea monster, they do just say that's because they're entering the Bermuda Triangle, don't they?
Well, that's
Yeah.
Because to me, that's going back a era with Scooby Doo into there's real monsters kind of thing.
I mean, is it a toy or is it a projection or is it literally? Does that not explain?
I don't think the monster was specifically explained, but I'm pretty sure it was some sort of projection because that was the whole point of the fog around the ship was so that they could project stuff onto the fog.
Yeah. I don't know, this was in the water though, wasn't it?
Yeah, we kind of saw it come out of the water.
Then again, that Wellington could probably afford a over stylized submarine.
I mean, if they could afford to do it in the Loch Ness, they can afford. This guy can afford to do it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
That is actually true. It's really because it's in like the same timeline.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And you know, here we're just looking at one. Then the Loch Ness, they had 3 different things running around. Okay. Anything else that you want to add, JayBee, around that time before we progress?
What happens at this point now? They escape?
Yeah,
the captive. Like, they escape from being tied up.
Yeah, Daphne helps them escape, doesn't she? I think she uses a card to kind of cut the rope.
Oh yeah, Platinum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then from there they hatch the plan. So when the plan's kind of taking place, we see these 2 aliens stood in front. And I was a bit like, oh no, we're not still doing this, are we? Because I didn't really like seeing the spaceship in the titles. When we saw the alien walking around the boat, I was a bit like, oh no. And then the aliens are stood in front of them, and I was like, oh, why are we still doing this narrative? But I guess the fact that it was a plan, it was a trap, it's kind of good to see some more. I don't know, I kind of feel like a lot of the traps that we've seen recently aren't necessarily Fred's traps, like in Where's My Mummy, they're already set kind of thing. It's good to see Fred being like, okay, this is my plan kind of thing.
Yeah, and there's another hint that maybe the first mate is a bit more than what they let on. Because the pirate's like, oh my gosh, I've done it, I've like awakened the heaven's light. And the first mate starts to say, but it can't be, I didn't, and then was cut off. So that was a nice detail that I noticed.
I also like the detail, just random, when Fred and Daphne are acting as aliens, that, like, when they speak, the little dots on their helmets, one was like a pink purple for Daphne, and one was like a, you know, kind of a yellowish, or maybe it was blue for Fred.
And I just wish that they did more toys for these, because those little alien suits would have been great.
If they would do toys of like all these movies, you know, I would love to have all these different costumes, all the different villains. Like, can you imagine getting a pirate set of like all the pirate crews and whatever? Like, oh, it'd be so cool. Like, get the pirate ship.
Oh, I don't know why they haven't done that. They don't seem to be that keen. Like, even at the time, like, maybe it's a bit too late to capitalize on that now, although just making like homage sets would be nice. But it just, I mean, why do you reckon they didn't make more merch to go along with these movies? Was it just because it wasn't in the cinema, so it was like, you know, didn't have that high of a budget to push anyway, or what? Because I reckon it would sell.
Yeah, more or less. I do think they're kind of like, well, these movies kind of go under the radar for the most part. But what's interesting, though, is while I was doing a little research for this movie, I discovered that they actually did a lot of, like, Burger King and, like, McDonald's, like, Happy Meal toys for all these movies. So, like, I believe Pirates Ahoy had Burger King toys to go along with them. If I can find a picture, I'll send you.
Gosh, that's some more eBay.
I know, huh? Maybe I shouldn't have brought it up.
No, but it's cool, and I don't know, I'll just always be disappointed, although I fully understand it, that nothing's gonna get major merch unless it's a theatrical release. Although, and maybe like you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm almost thinking that it's possible that maybe it won't, you know, affect these Scooby Doo direct-to-DVD films, but possibly for stuff that's premiering on Disney Plus at the moment, that the transition into, you know, seeing a movie for the first time, you know, it through premium access, through stuff being streamed at home to you if you don't want to go to the cinema, that could be the transition of things being a bit more like it's legitimate to have home media be the new cinema. So maybe years down the line they're going to give home releases more gravitas, or at least equal gravitas to cinemas, but I don't know. I'm praying.
Yeah.
Because just thinking back to some of my favourite films in this, like some of the toys would be mad, like a Phantom Virus figure.
I feel like they didn't make enough figures.
You know, it'd be so cool, whether it be like a little toy or something. I think it'd be so cool if they made a Phantom Virus like lamp or nightlight where he glows.
Yes, I would love that. And honestly, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for them to do like some nostalgic limited time Funko Pops for like maybe the something anniversary of a particular film.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe just the Mook Animations one though, like, to be honest, but still, we could get some pretty cool stuff from that. Maybe the Crystal and Amber double pack. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, I want that.
They could actually do so much with that. They could give us the Crystal and Amber double pack and then make like the alien versions like an exclusive. Yeah.
Yeah.
But these aliens showing up, and obviously the pirates revealing that it's Daphne and Fred, that leads on to, like, I guess, the more iconic, I want to say, chase song.
I feel like the scene in itself, this one's more iconic, but I feel like the song is as iconic as the last one.
To me, a lot of the songs are quite similar. I don't know, I want to say the songs are quite similar for the chase scenes here.
Yeah. Apart from the first one,
yeah,
everything else more or less it could be the same song piece. But I like it a lot, and the sequence itself is really fun, especially with like the shenanigans with Fred, like with Fred's dad, like, and also Fred and Fred's dad doing like these, I don't know, like synchronized fighting.
Yeah.
Although what got me, and I mentioned this in the Alien Invaders episode with like the MP people, like the pirates start to pull real guns on them at some point.
Yep.
It was like, okay, for like the old animation films, I kind of can get it. Maybe it was like less prominent, you know, censorship, less prominent, you know, like political matters. But this right here, this movie was what, in 2006? Or am I jumping way ahead?
Yeah, 2006.
And it gets dark.
So real guns in 2006, I think that's too, I don't know, I'm surprised that they included that.
I guess I didn't really think of it with the guns. My more so was like when Fred's dad was speaking when he was tied up, and Sally would like come up to him and with a knife, holding it against his head.
Yeah. You know what? I did not think about that. And it's surprising because I would say over here in the UK, that's a more like common method of like violence. So I was thinking like maybe I should have picked up on that more. But it's just, I don't know, it's just the gun thing. I think it's just from like the time that I used to research how things were translated. So like with the old Pokemon anime, when like literally the simplest thing could just be edited out, be it guns, you know, certain bits of dialogue, weaponry. So it's just a bit of a shock to see both the, like, at least the smaller knives and the guns be shown here.
Yeah.
So the hallway chase scene with the doors was kind of nice. It wasn't like a hallway as such in this part, but it was like different doors on each level and they could like pop in and out of them. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah.
There is a lot to like in this scene. another thing that I enjoyed was, I think it was, I don't know what to call it, shamefully enough, but you go up the mast and there's almost like the wood that holds the mainsails together. And I kind of thought it was nice that Daphne could like throw the mop accurately to Shaggy. I thought that showed that she was a bit more skilled than we thought. Like, at least in this continuation, it reminded me a bit of the scene where she fights the samurai in the cyber chase. But equally, I think it is a bit of a shame, especially, you know, in like a timeline not too soon after Scooby Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed, that there's not like a scene where Daphne's a bit more like fighting the pirates with the sword. I think that would have been a nice touch.
I do wish they had done more with that, but I think the reason is because this was more Fred's movie, and so they wanted to showcase him with his dad.
I see that. And it's not often that Fred gets a centric film, really.
Centric film, or really honestly to fight, I feel like, because he's always known as the Trap Man, but never to like full on go fist to fist unless, you know, he has to, where I feel like this moment wasn't, you know, it wasn't desperate, but he was just like, yeah, we're here, let's do this.
Yeah, and now that I think about it, the last couple of movies have been a bit more focused on specific characters, like Aloha Scooby-Doo was triggered by Daphne's job. Equally, Where's My Mummy was triggered by Velma's like work experience, and now this is triggered by Fred's parents. So it's like, I don't know if that's a coincidence.
Is triggered by Scooby and Shaggy, I will tell you that.
So I don't know if that's a coincidence or not, but it's kind of nice to look back at it from that point of view.
I'm pretty sure, like, I mean, I'm sure it was on purpose, but like, I really think they did do kind of these like more tailored movies towards a certain character a bit more, because we had like, you know, the What's New Scooby-Doo series where it was just like, oh, all these, you know, 20-minute episodes or whatever. So now these movies kind of gave these characters a little more depth, I guess you could say, in a sense. Somewhat, but yeah, so it'll be interesting to see the next one with Scooby and Shaggy kind of trigger the mystery in the next one, but then Goblin King is definitely a Shaggy and Scooby movie, but I mean, I guess they triggered that one too, but we'll get into that once we do.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess on this film so far, from this scene we get the reveal. Now, I want to kind of do a stock check at this point on, I guess, both, you know, you, smASH, and Mariah. Are you on the same page with this film so far at this point, or are you radically agreeing or disagreeing on anything at all?
I first want to say there was a moment that Milly brought up that I was like, oh, I actually feel pretty different than her. When Milly brought up when they got to the island, I think you were saying like that's kind of when you were starting to get a little more interested again. And I have to say, when they got onto the island, that's always been a moment for me where I've kind of got uninterested for a minute until they like get captured. So just wanted to put that out there. I thought that was interesting, our different takes on it.
Yeah, I definitely see that, and I think I'm more on the page of Milly, but for different reasons, where to me, for all I'm a water baby, with like the pirate ships and everything, it's a lot of, you know, browns, it's a lot of blues, and so then to just have a location where there's some yellows and some greens especially in the mix, it's like, okay, this is a bit refreshing.
Yeah, I don't know, I guess mine was just kind of it just felt like a lull moment to me. But I mean, I do see where you guys are coming from for sure. But just for me personally, I was a little like, okay, you know, it was kind of like a moment of I can pick up my phone for a minute and then, you know, look back and be like, okay, I didn't miss anything type of thing.
Yeah, I think you're right in that nothing progresses too much there. It is almost, like JayBee said, a break kind of visually. Just with the little reference to the mystery machine there as well. But JayBee, I think that's quite progressive in terms of almost like overall opinions of the movie, right? Do we have anything else that we want to...
Does Mariah have any thoughts, words, anything?
Yeah, I was gonna say that I've been agreeing with Millie on her input with the aliens. Like in the beginning, I was kind of like, I mean, I get that it's the Bermuda Triangle and there's all these legends about it, but I was just, I don't know, thrown off, I guess. And then the one part that did kind of pull it together for me, I guess, is when they used it as the trap or decoy to confuse the pirates. And that kind of like, I was like, okay, that makes a little more sense because it's not like real aliens that are coming to Earth, but it's more just they used it as their decoy. So I guess I kind of agree with her. I was kind of like, what is happening? But I can see where they were going with it.
Yeah, it was kind of just like a long-winded way of setting up a trap. And something else that I've just kind of thought of is if the billionaire had so much money, why did they have this? Oh, it was Velma who had the spaceship, wasn't it, that she was flying?
I thought they had the spaceship there as part of their like, ooh, the Bermuda Triangle mysteries and whatever, and then Scooby and Velma like got remote controls to fly the little remote planes to get Fred and Fred's mom.
Because I was gonna say,
mom and dad, whoever.
in Alien Invasion, there was 3 students that had a more convincing spaceship than they did.
Yeah, honestly,
and they're supposed to have a millionaire on board. It's like a billionaire on board. It's like, okay, the students did better. I'm sorry.
To be fair though, in timeline perspective, if you are taking that approach, if we are to assume that all that's in like a zombie island timeline, which is like 10, 15 years later, that there might have been some technology things, but certainly they weren't thinking with that in mind when they did make this. Yeah, you're right. So we get the reveal then. We've got heads being ripped off left, right, and centre. Who is it? So we unmask this skunk beard, and it's it's Biff Wellington.
The part that I find funny is then after that, Mr. Mysterio finds the need to unmask himself.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. It's like, oh,
it's almost
who
like
showed him this? Me.
Someone's like, oh no, the attention's not on me. Why isn't the attention on me? Rips my mask off. Like, no. Like, he wasn't even caught. He could have ran away. He could have done something.
Just dived in the water and swam.
Yeah.
But okay, again, I'm still holding out for my theory at this point on my first watch through. But also on the first watch through, I completely forgot about Biff Wellington until this unmasking. I was that engrossed in the film, or they made that little of an impression on me, that I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, you're in this. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's almost like they turned up. We don't know why they turned up. There was nothing explained. And then it's like, huh, you remember this person? Wait, who was that?
Yeah, I agree, 100%. And I just don't know how much I like the explanation, to be honest. Because it's like we spoke about it before. Either we're to assume that Biff was manipulated or was, I guess, charmed or hypnotized. And either one of them doesn't make too much sense, because if they were hypnotized, then why weren't they, like, you know, why were they in the top at the end, you know, saying we'll, like, put these two in jail afterwards? Because surely if they were hypnotized, that would make them as innocent as everyone else that was a pirate. But then if they weren't hypnotized and just manipulated, it's like, why? Surely even if this person was, like, stupid enough to manipulate, this Mr. Mysterio, who, you know, presumably wants their plan to work, should just hypnotize in case anyway.
Yeah. I don't know, like, my thing with, and I've said this before, but my thing with Mr. Mysterio is, I just don't think he's that good. Like I said, we see that he couldn't hypnotize Shaggy and Scooby, so from there I was just a bit like, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like he does kind of like give himself way more credit than, you know, I think anyone else really does. But like, I do like the concept that they were going with, because I like the idea of, like, oh, I hypnotized this big group of people and made this army of villains or whatever, but I do think just some of the explanation wasn't very good, wasn't very right, you know, there wasn't, just some things aren't connecting that kind of just, took it out for me a bit, and so yeah, I don't know. In theory, I like what they were trying to do. I just don't think they played it out and explained it enough for it to be like, oh, that was so cool, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so that concludes my notes, JayBee. Anything else that you have to add?
I just thought I enjoyed the fact that even after the reveal, the gang was still in danger. It wasn't just like, we're gonna pull the mask off and then have a laugh and that's it. There was a bit more to it that felt kind of necessary. Like, it wasn't that they had a lot to tie up. Maybe it was just for runtime, but I still kind of feel that they needed that resolution of, you know, are they just stranded out in sea now, or is everything gonna be okay? So it was nice to see that the castaway was being put to some use, getting them back to their original location. Oh, and also, I think we get a hint for the next movie in this. Like, don't they mention the Abominable Snowman?
They do, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
So, as JayBee's hinting at there, our movie for next week is going to be Chill Out Scooby Doo. So, for those of you that follow us weekly, make sure you watch that in advance. So, does anybody have anything else to add on that?
Just that, okay, I just had a few little thoughts. I thought it was cool how even when they pulled off the masks, there was a moment of, like, seeing these people and, like, they were still hypnotized, so some of them were still like, arr, and whatever. I thought that was kind of funny. It's like, you know, okay, just because they pull off the mask doesn't, you know, make it so then they're not hypnotized. You know, like, they didn't need the costume to think they were a pirate or whatever. I thought that was kind of funny. I have to agree, though, with you that there was a little, I guess, a little resolution more so on some things rather than, we pulled off the mask, Scooby-Dooby-Doo, we're done, you know. We know that they're getting back, we know, you know, someone's helping them and everyone's okay. But also that we did get in this movie too a little bit of a, ooh, could this really be supernatural? Again, with like the whole Heaven's Light, they had to put it back into the water, and then that whole cavern thing sunk into the ground. They were like, I guess we'll just not bring that up again and act like it never happened. Okay, you know.
Yeah, that is quite almost supernatural, but I was kind of thinking it was like, if it was something to do with not tectonic plates, but maybe volcanoes or something to do with tsunamis, maybe the Heaven's Light being so heavy and so it had been there for so long that it was almost like they dislodged something, a bit like pulling the plug out of a bathtub. It just made something loosen up a bit, but at the same time it's like, well, that wasn't explained at all, and we just need to rely on the words of Biff Wellington, like, no, you idiots, it's because the water wants its thing back. And it's like, okay, thank you.
When they were going into it, I also kind of thought like, oh, maybe, because at least in school I learned like, oh, there was like in the ocean there's different ocean levels at different times of the year and whatever, and so I was like, oh, maybe at this time the ocean level dropped enough that they could get into this cavern type of thing.
Yeah, and especially because I don't remember what ocean the Bermuda Triangle's in. Like, some do change so much with like tides, and others, like say the Mediterranean, doesn't. But it's possible. It's certainly possible. My last note on this is simply that, again, like I said with Aloha and Where's My Mummy, at the end of this they have like visual credits as well, and that's something that I've really been enjoying.
So random. The Bermuda Triangle is located in the Atlantic Ocean.
Hmm.
So there might be a bit of a tide, I don't know. Where is the Atlantic Ocean? Is that the cold one?
It said it was in the north.
Maybe. One day though, we're gonna go to the Bermuda Triangle. That's gonna be a great, like, vlogging thing.
We need to find the heaven's light and
I know.
get that gold.
We could do that. We could buy. What would we buy? You know what? I might just need it to clear my debt at this point.
Yes, that's the first step.
And then we take over the world.
God.
Yeah, that's step 2 of our 5-step plan.
Wow, there's 5 steps.
Yep.
I'm gonna say step 2 is not leaving much room to progress, JayBee.
No, because world domination, then it's galaxies. We're gonna unite Crystal and Amber to Shaggy and Scooby. We're gonna do it.
There's a plan right there.
That's the whole
Step
point of
5.
it.
Oh no, step 5 is going to their wedding. The tie-dye wedding.
Going to their wedding. Their tie-dye wedding, yep.
That would be dreams. But I guess unless anyone's got anything to say, we're about ready to move on to verdicts, I think, at this point.
Yeah, my last story is with my verdict.
Ooh, so
as always, JayBee, I'll ask you first. So, Scooby Doo Pirates Ahoy, would you say smash or pass?
I really like this movie. For all I remember it very differently, to me this has everything that I would like from a Scooby-Doo movie. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but it's also not boring in the fact that you know that everything's gonna be fine, because ultimately, whilst that is always gonna be the case, there's some genuine like danger there with boats being sank and everything. And there is a very goofy subplot. I think for some reason I'm maybe being a bit more lenient on this, especially than I was with some others, and I actually don't know why. Because, again, it's not too much nostalgia. But yeah, there's amazing songs. To me, this is like pure, like, if I was going to recommend... Oh no, I can't really say that because of the pirate aspect, but if there's one movie that I would say is like the most Scooby movie, I'd say it's probably this one. So I'm definitely going to smash. So, Millie, what do you think about Pirates Ahoy? Would you smash or pass?
So I think nostalgia starts to kick in a little bit again here, because I remember watching this a few times and loving it. I think this is just so different from any of the others that we've seen. Like, I know we've been sat here drawing comparisons like, oh, well, the villains are a bit like, you know, in Zombie Island, and with the Mystery Machine opening, it's like what they do in Cyber Chase, but just us knowing so much and them knowing so little, like, you know, just so for example, them not knowing that it's going to be a mystery cruise, and then when that transpires, we know that the villain they're looking at isn't the villain because we saw the cold opening. I don't know, it's just an entirely new dynamic that I really like. There are things that I don't like. I think, like, I don't know, like, just like the kind of sea monster thing at the end, the aliens. There's a couple of things that I just find a bit weird, but ultimately I couldn't not say smash for this movie. I think it's amazing. So yeah, definitely smash. So that's 2 smashes so far, right, JayBee?
Yeah.
Now, next we're going to head over to our expert smash and ask you, would you say smash or pass for Scooby Doo Pirates Ahoy?
Alright, I always give you guys my childhood memories with these movies every time. So, you're getting it again, don't worry. So, I remember this movie, I honestly never saw any sort of promotion, trailers, nothing. Like, I knew that this movie was coming, like, I didn't know it at all. Like, I hadn't heard of it, nothing. And, at the time of its release, my dad, who he was working for, his boss's family had like a family cabin type thing, and they said that we could go stay for like a weekend or whatever. And so we were gearing up to go stay at this cabin. Who knows where it was, to be honest. But we had to, you know, like run into the store. We were going late at night for whatever reason. Like we're going at like 9 o'clock at night or whatever. But so we ran into the store to like grab, you know, kind of some essential things for the weekend because the cabin was going to be away from major stores, so it's like we would have had to take kind of a big drive to get some stuff that we needed and whatever. But I remember going in, and I swear everybody's thinking I'm going crazy, but I swear it was a thing. But like back then, they don't do it a whole lot with movies anymore. Really only with like honestly like Marvel movies, but like big movies. But they had kind of these huge displays in the middle of the aisles for these brand new movies, you know, where it was like the entire display was like a giant standee, kind of like at the theater that you would see, but you know, for this new movie or whatever. And I remember going in, and we were, you know, through the aisles, and all, bam, there's this huge Scooby Doo Pirates Ahoy display, had like a bunch of DVDs for it, and I just remember like seeing Scooby in his pirate outfit that he has on in the case, you know, on the cover art, and he's like swinging across the ship, and there's all the pirates running around the display, you know, trying to get the gang. There's like the gang, you know, kind of tied up in the background, whatever, and it was this huge like 360 display of Scooby Doo Pirates Ahoy, and you know, I was just like, what? There's a new movie? I didn't know this was a thing and whatever. And so my parents were like, oh, we're here. Let's just grab it. Let's take it for the weekend and we can watch it. And so I'm so sad that at the time, you know, cameras weren't on phones, at least very widely. Otherwise, I would have at least gotten a picture of that whole thing, because I have it ingrained in my brain. But the more I talk about it, the more I'm wondering if I made. But yeah, so then we went to the cabin, and obviously that night I was like telling my sisters like, hey, we're gonna watch this, like we're not going to sleep until we watch it. I don't care if it's late. But of course we fell asleep watching it, you know. I was like, oh, it's late, we'll try this again tomorrow. So we didn't end up watching the whole thing. I just remember really getting to the part of like Biff coming down in the jetpack, and then we were like, okay, let's try this again tomorrow. But and this is the first Scooby-Doo, really anything but movie, that never had a VHS release. This was purely DVD. It came in, originally came in a white case, you know, where like Loch Ness Monster came in a green case, Aloha came in an orange case. So this one came in a white case, and you know, so it was kind of unique and special, and I don't know why they promoted it so hard. They had the toys, you know, that I sent you guys the picture for the like Burger King toys or whatever, and I don't know how I missed it, you know, like seeing all the ads or promotion for it, but it seems like they really promoted this movie pretty big. But anyway, so I do have very fond memories with this one. I definitely think this is a hugely underrated movie of Scooby-Doo. It's in my top 10 favorite Scooby-Doo movies. I couldn't tell you an exact number, but at least in my top 10. And I definitely just think that like this movie, I mean, yes, it is cartoony and it is in the what's new era of Scooby-Doo, but it definitely has some more creepy and darker undertones that like the Scooby movies didn't exactly have during this time. And I feel like a lot of people are kind of craving in Scooby-Doo right now. Like a lot of people are really wanting like a dark Scooby-Doo again. And although this again isn't like super dark, I feel like a lot of people, you know, they bring up Zombie Island, which is ghosts, blah blah blah, but they always disregard this one in its creepiness and darker tones aspect. And I'm like have you watched it? Because again, I think there's a huge population, you know, that maybe watched Scooby-Doo but has not seen this one, doesn't acknowledge it, doesn't know it exists. So in the end, I'm gonna say this is a smash, definitely, even though, I mean, every movie has its flaws. This one definitely has a few flaws, but I think just the overall tone and just the fun of it, of this one, and its uniqueness, and I love the Bermuda Triangle. I kind of forgot to bring that up. I love all the stories and stuff of the Bermuda Triangle. I don't take them seriously, but I find them very interesting. And so I love that aspect that they were in the Bermuda Triangle. Like, not only were there pirates, you know, in the ocean and whatever, but they actually made it connect to a real world kind of phenomenon type thing. So yeah, at the end, I will smash this one all the way. I love this one.
Amazing. So far we're like unanimous agreement, but of course today we have a special guest as well. So Mariah, what do you think? Would you say smash or pass for Scooby Doo Pirates Ahoy?
Did Smash just say you're gonna ruin it?
I said, are you gonna ruin our
That's amazing.
No pressure.
No pressure. Well, I will say I agree with a lot of the points you've all brought up. Like, I love the music. I was literally jamming to it the whole time.
Yeah, they're your jigs.
I was like, this is a kind of like old timey, and I really enjoyed it, and it was really fun. And like all the chase scenes with the music, it just every time I was like, oh yay, another time to jam out to the music. The other thing I really enjoyed about it, just kind of the underlying comedy. I mean, most Scooby movies have good laughing points throughout, but I don't know. I really loved the whole, like, I mean, it's creepy at first because like people are disappearing and you're like, where are they? And like when Fred's parents get taken and they only find his dad, like, where's his mom? And then all these pirate ghosts start showing up, and then you kind of start to realize, oh, maybe that's them somehow. And then of course the ending part where the lady pirate, or the lady pirate's there, and it's like, oh, is that the mom?
I loved your reaction at that point. You were like, oh, it's his mom.
I know. If that's Fred's mom, that's gonna be hilarious. And it was, and I just thought it was so funny. I really enjoyed that whole sequence they did with that. It was very good for me. I thought it was great. And the last thing I'm gonna say that I really enjoyed was just the villains in general. I really liked Skunkbeard. I thought he was really cool, and he kind of had some like mysterious parts with the light of the heavens or whatever. I didn't love Mr. Mysterio. I misjudged him because I thought, oh, he's really creepy purposefully, so they're trying to make it obvious that he's creepy. So expect him, but it's not going to be him, which ended up not being true in this case. But, and again, I think Millie was the one who said it was kind of underwhelming with his powers, because like he was able to hypnotize everyone except Shaggy and Scooby. And yeah, that's a whole other issue. But again, mostly when I say villains, I mean the pirates and Skunkbeard. But overall, I thought it was a really fun movie because, again, it was my first time watching it. So I think I'd rate it a smash as well. So I didn't ruin the streak, but I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was a really fun watch.
Amazing. So we literally all unanimously agreed. This is a really good Scooby movie.
Yeah, like, that's awesome. This is like the most smashes we've ever had, and I think it's great.
Set the record.
So,
yeah.
I guess at this point I would try and like fit in a new segment, but really, unless anyone can think of anything, the only thing I want to say at the end is that for everyone listening in the UK, if you do want to pre-order Courage the Cowardly Dog, the new Scooby Doo movie, that crossover, the Amazon pre-order for that is now available in the UK.
It's £7
bit
as well,
delayed,
I think.
but yeah. So that's up there now. Anyone else has any news? But that's kind of my little post-credit scene for this episode.
I mean, I don't know if anyone cares. The only Scooby news we really got this week was that there's a company who makes kind of like totem pole drink cups, and they just announced they're called I think Geeky Tiki. And they just announced a Scooby line of those tiki cups.
Oh yeah, I think I saw someone share them. They actually look really cool. Although again, I don't know if they're ever going to come to the UK, but they're definitely worth checking out.
Indeed.
So I guess just to wrap things up, obviously I want to thank both you, Smash and Mariah, for being on here. This is our longest episode by far, so I'm really sorry if we've taken up some crazy time.
Breaking that record every time.
but it's been amazing, and also really nice to speak to Mariah, because I think that we've obviously like been familiar like for a while, you know, through connections, but I don't know, it's nice to like add some voices to things, and I would love for like Mariah to come back at some point, but throughout this episode I've just felt so like, oh my gosh, like I feel like we're leaving her out, I don't know what to do. And I was like, no.
Oh no, it's okay. I know I'm kind of like, I wasn't sure what to like take note of mentally for this movie, so it was fun hearing your guys' points and kind of like getting an idea. But it's been really fun, and I've enjoyed it so far.
So now you can come back and know what we talk about.
Yeah.
Indeed. I don't know, I feel so validated having Mariah here as well, because there's so many times when she was like, oh yeah, Milly said this and I agree. I was like, yay!
You're like, thank you.
Yeah,
I feel like I had someone
was
on my
like,
team here. I was like, yay!
I know, I'm like, I agree with a lot of your points, so we're on the same page, it seems.
It was amazing. Again, thank you so much for taking the time out to do this, because it's been great. So, for everybody, we are of course going to be back again next Saturday, where we are going to be taking a look at Chill Out Scooby Doo. Want to say that from memory, this will be the first time I've seen Chill Out Scooby Doo, so I'm interested to see what it's about and how I'm going to rank it. JayBee, is this a nostalgic for you?
It's half and half. I think this was I don't know. I think I've only seen it a handful of times, but it is one that I have seen a while ago. But it's not one that I remember anything. Well, neither was this one, clearly, but I don't remember. I don't think I remember anything about Chill Out Scooby Doo.
Okay, so we certainly need that rewatch through. Of course, if you like joining in the premieres, then you can watch through it too. smASH, what about you? How's Chill Out Scooby Doo for you? Is it one that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, it's definitely a huge nostalgic one for me. I feel like it's one that I guess kind of like dived back into Scooby Doo for a little bit, and so like I went like full-fledged into it and whatever. So I have a lot of nostalgic feelings for Chill Out Scooby Doo. I will say though, I haven't watched it for a hot minute, so I'm gonna need to watch it, even though I have seen it a handful of times. There's just some moments in it I'm a little foggy on, but overall, I am very familiar with Chill Out Scooby Doo.
Okay. And of course, Mariah, you are welcome on whatever of these episodes you want. So like, if there's a Scooby movie that you're like, oh, I like this one, I want to be like part of this, or again, one that you've not seen, then of course, just let us know.
Yeah, or even one we've already done. Like, I don't mind a bit of time travel.
Mariah's moments, Mariah minute.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. That's really fun. It was fun watching this one for the first time. I'm sure there'll be others that wait, I want to watch that one, or like, wait, I like that one. So
yeah, I pulled them all out when I was like, which one do you want to do? And I kept like, then there's this one, then there's this one, then there's this one. She's like, hold on, let me look at them. I'm like, no, there's like 30 more.
It's quite a selection to go through, so we got options here.
Yeah, like there's just so many. By the time you've made your selection, there's another one on the way. So
you still haven't seen this one in the Scoob.
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
Oh gosh, no way.
I know, who am I? I need to go watch it.
She's watched you did Curse of the 13th Ghost, Return to Zombie Island, and Happy Halloween, but for whatever reason, somehow, we did the reaction collaboration, and so I didn't watch it with her, but lately I had been watching the new movies with her, but that one just kind of
slipped away.
Yeah, slipped away.
Oh, it'll be interesting to know what you thought of that one if you watch it. That was good.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess all that leaves now is obviously, you know, everyone watching this, like listening to this, you've heard that smASH knows a lot about Scooby Doo and a variety of other things. So, smASH, where can everyone find you on the internet?
Yeah, so you can find me over on Instagram and Twitter. I am at Ashton Hardy _. That should be the same for both. Otherwise, I have a YouTube channel called smASH. If you just search Ashton Hardy, it should be one of the first ones that pop up. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
And I don't suppose Mariah has any links at all? I know that you're quite heavily involved with
smASH's channel, of course.
But
yeah, I don't...
You're fine, you don't have to.
Yeah, I don't have like any public links or like any cool secret channel to do on the side.
Yeah,
Sorry guys.
any more kind of opinions and views, go check out smASH's channel, because of course you're amazing there too. So
Yeah.
just another reason, go check out smASH's links.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just did a video together actually today.
Ooh.
It just dropped today.
I'm excited. So everyone, please go over and check that out. Links will all be in the description. It's gonna be good. So thank you everyone for joining us for another episode of Smash or Pass. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to JayBee, Milly, and smASH. And again, huge thank you to our guest.